I'm Jason Sylvia, and this is the Creative Capital Show. A show about creative people and how those creative people turn into entrepreneurs by taking their creativity and turning it into a business and facing all the trials and tribulations along the way. Starting a business is tough. Starting a successful business, even tougher. Now imagine starting a successful business and you can't read or speak. Sounds impossible. And yet that was the catalyst for Lexus Fernandez's entrepreneurial journey. At age 20, Lexus suffered a brain aneurysm, which left her unable to attend school, work a job, and the ability to read or speak. During her recovery, she found that her skin became so sensitive that using everyday bath products would leave her entire body scarred. Lexus sought out natural herbal alternatives to create a soap that she could use, and found that others wanted to use her soaps as well. Shortly after, Lexus would meet her co-founder, Evan Delpeche, and thus Soulita was born. Soulita's name comes from the idea of holistic healing, and that to heal, one has to take care of themselves. No one else can do it for you. This idea becomes especially evident when you experience Soulita's products that act as a meditation and emphasizes the connections between mind and body. Lexus's prowess in what can best be described as herbal alchemy, along with Evan's eye for artistic direction and branding, plus a penchant for intricate storytelling within their products, has made Soulita a skincare brand that is out to positively change the lives of its customers. And in this humble host's opinion, can stand toe-to-toe with luxury skincare titans such as Labo and Aesop. The story of Soulita is one of not just skincare or even self-care, but rather a journey of how one needs to look inward in order to heal. One last thing, I usually provide a commentary in the form of an interlude to help enhance the story and break up the episode. However, for this episode, as long as it is, I didn't provide any such interlude or commentary because I felt it would actually take away from the story. And this is a story that I think anyone and everyone needs to hear. So with that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story of Soulita. A great start. We're laughing. That's good. That's good. Evan Delpeche.
Yes.
Lexus Fernandez.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show. I'm just going to dive right in. Usually there's like the history and the exposition and things of that nature. Unless I say otherwise, feel free to cut each other off. Actually, that'd be even funnier. Feel free to do that and just chime in with whatever. But this brand has, and this business has such an interesting story. So I'm just gonna, cut right into the origin story here because it's so intertwined. Because Lexus, you went to, if I remember this correctly, from my research, you were going to school for political science and art.
Yeah.
And then you're doing the school thing, and then of all things happen, this seems like something that's so random that like it was written, but you had a brain aneurysm, which anybody at any age that's horrifying enough. So you had a brain aneurysm, and that led to all of this. So anybody wondering, like, brain aneurysm, successful business, there's a lot in between.
Yeah, there's a lot in between.
Can you take me back for when this medical event happened, this issue happened? I guess what you were, maybe right before, like what you were planning on doing, because you were studying art and political science. What was the career path you were either thinking about or working towards at first?
Honestly, I wanted to be the mayor of Providence.
I'd vote for you. You got more than enough time.
And yeah, I just want to represent my community. And in high school, I was very, I would say, revolutionary. I I led rallies and what's the word? One thing I should say this is from the aneurysm, I have an aphasia, so I might be looking for a word, and
Okay.
sometimes it takes a little longer for me to find it.
No
But I meant
worries.
to say, or even if it's a regular basic word, sometimes it comes off wrong, the way it sounds. But protests, all that, I found my voice through debate, and I was like a really good debater.
Oh, okay.
And that was once I realized I can use my voice as a tool for change, I just started to rang with it. And that's why I really wanted political science and art. So I always had art as to help me heal from whatever I was going through growing up. And I was like, why not?
So this event happens,
Hmm.
the brain aneurysm, and it seemingly came out of nowhere.
It did.
What was the, and I want to hone in on this because I think it's so important to the brand story, and I think it's important in your story, but also for other people to hear it. Was there ever a sense, and I think it's justified to ask this question whenever something like an incident like that happens, was there ever a sense of like you trying to go, why did this happen? Or like wondering like, not necessarily why me, but like, why did this happen? Why now at this point in time?
Every day.
Really? Okay.
Every day. Once it happened, every day. On Yeah, honestly, every single day because I was doing really well. Should I talk a little bit about the story or
Oh
like
no, no,
how?
that's the reason why I asked the question. So yeah, I mean, walk through it as much as you want.
Yeah, I was in I'm sorry, I was in college. I just finished my sophomore year finals, and I was doing really good in school. I was at Roger Williams University in Bristol, Rhode Island, and I had a really good job. I was in a manager position at Sprint and Emerald Square Mall, and the money was great. Like I was able to take my family on shopping sprees. Like I was comfortable. And the only other thing I did was like Bible study. So I was chilling. But something inside me, like I knew that there was a part of me that I wasn't tapping into because of the money and because of I was in school. And it was that revolutionary part that I have ability to save lives and I have ability to take care of people in the community, and I'm not doing that right now. And when the aneurysm happened, it was like I lost everything. The manager position of Sprint had such a like bad turnover that I used to tell the customers, if I'm not here, then something bad happened. And the synchronization of it all is I had the ruptured brain aneurysm while I was working.
Holy shit! So you're just working, doing your thing, and then all of a sudden, bam.
I was getting somebody an upgrade for her phone, and I asked the guy, like, what do you want your passcode to be? And I heard a pop. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, what was that? And I tried to say it again. What do you want the passcode to be? And as soon as he said numbers, I couldn't understand English. And I like excused myself, went to my car, and I was like, oh, what is happening? And I had no idea what was happening. I just knew that I couldn't speak English or understand English or read English. I went back and I had like writing on notes, and I realized something was really wrong because I couldn't put my ABCs in order. And because I couldn't understand what was going on, I started recording. So I actually have a voice memo recording of everything that I was saying. And two things that stood out to me was who did this to me, and who did this to me. I trusted myself so much that I couldn't believe that my body did this to my soul, to myself. And who did this to me? And like, why is this happening? And Another synchronization coincidence is that week I realized that I didn't have health insurance, even though I put in my application for it. And I had an alarm for the next day at 8 a.m. to get health insurance. So even though I didn't know English, even though I had a really bad head pain, I still didn't want to go to the hospital because I was scared of not having enough money for it.
With that, the initial event of it happening, you eventually end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I think with everything that had happened, it would be, I don't even want to say understandable. I think it would be human to be like, how do you, like, how, like, to, from an outside looking in, like, how do you even come back from that? Right. Like you even said you lost everything. And I know people have almost like, I don't want to say thrown that term around, but like with some of the more financial fraud things happening in the news, which we were talking about before we started recording, people are like, I lost everything. And it's like, there's a difference between losing all the material stuff. And then there's that saying, at least you have your health. Like you lost all the things, like money, the creature comforts, money, but then also health and even the ability to speak and communicate. Was there a moment, or I really want to ask this question just because I think it would be important for not even in the context of the show, which is about entrepreneurship, but I just think for any human being in general going through any crazy event or hardship or setback, I think it's important to ask this question. Was there a moment or series of moments? Was it an evolution, or was there a specific moment that you may remember of where it's like, okay, I have to like climb out of this situation. Yeah. I have to claw back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I definitely want to hear that. And I think that'll be valuable to anybody else listening as well.
I'm going to give it to you raw, and I'm going to give it to you like uncensored. The aneurysm happened May 2018. I was in the hospital for about 40 days. And for 5 months, I didn't have this piece of my skull to help with the swelling of the brain. So not having a piece of my skull, I couldn't really go anywhere, do anything. I was babysat. Couldn't go back to college, couldn't go back to work. So from May 2018 up to the last day of the year, it was December 31st. Before I explain what really made me change my mindset, was that, let me say that the physical pain was hard, but all of that medicine that they give it to you, it's okay. I tell people, I watch what I say now after the aneurysm and after telling all the customers, like, oh, if I'm not here, something bad has happened. But I could take somebody like shooting my shoulder, or me having to go through cancer, or having another aneurysm because of physical pain. I survived, but it was a mental pain that hurt so much more. And because of that, December 31st, 7 weeks after I got my skull back, and I was like, okay, this is the start of my rehabilitation. 7 weeks after, I started a business selling earrings on Facebook Live. With 1 hour, I made like $500, and I was like, wow, I can barely speak English, and I'm selling, like I can still make money and pay my bills. Like, this is great. And I did that like every 2 weeks to pay my bills. But the side effects of the aneurysm were really hitting me. December 31st, I went to the movies, and I had a wallet with all the money that I made, all the money that a GoFundMe for my job helped me out with in my wallet. And one of the side effects of the aneurysm that I'm still dealing with it for the past like about 4 years is losing things. Like for me, for my brain, it just disappears and I can't retrace it. I lost my wallet, and I had a boyfriend at the time, and he ended up leaving the house. And like, my mindset was, you know what? I don't want to live in a world where money matters so much. And I took all the pills that the hospital gave me. When I woke up, I told myself, like, I can't do this anymore. If a ruptured brain aneurysm couldn't kill me, and if I can't even kill myself, then I'm supposed to be alive. And that was the turning point of, you need to heal yourself, because the doctors aren't going to do it. The nurses aren't going to do it. A boyfriend can't do it. My family can't do it. The therapist can't do it. Like, I truly have to do it myself.
So you have all this happen, and that mental switch of you have to heal yourself comes on. And I just have a side question about that before my next question. That question is, can you verbalize that healing yourself from the internal more? Only because I think, and I even have sometimes an issue with trying to wrap my head around the concept, because I think when we think of pain, when I say we, not everybody sitting here, but just people in general, it's like you're in pain, there's something wrong. Or if I'm going to go back to my tech days, something is broken in the system, you go to an external source, or you apply something from an external source to that system. So in this case, like some kind of external medication or something, and then that's what causes the healing, or to restore the system back to its original state. Whereas if the system is broken, how can the solution come from within if the thing is broken? And I say thing just to like put it in more general terms and just even keep it out of medical. So can you go into that? Because I think that's something important to break down a little bit. Because I think then, even like I said, even myself sometimes it's hard for me to wrap my head around. But I think it's a concept and something that really should be understood more and should be put out there more. One guy's opinion, by the way.
I can tell you, like, when you are going through a brain injury, like it's not like breaking an arm or leg. Like, your personality changes, your voice changes. You say things that you would have never said before, and you don't even know that you're not yourself. What I would do is, like, as week pass by, I'll think about things that I did 2 weeks before, like, wow, I was wild. And after the survival of the suicide attempt, I found peace within by meditating. You get to a point where you're like meditating and you're just like levitating, and like you're somewhere totally different than the setting that you are. And I started to focus more on spirituality, not like in a religion way, but more like, I have to change my mindset in order to heal myself, and I need to start doing the things that I have passions with to help me heal. So art healed me. Making poems, spoken word healed me. Sharing my story healed me. And that are all from things from my creativity, from my heart, from my trauma, from things that I've experienced. And like I truly had to, since the aneurysm popped on the left side of my brain, which is everything analytic, like language, time, reading, writing, but the right side was booming.
So the logic-based, not to interrupt you, but the logic-based reasoning was dimmed.
Yes.
And then the creative part, or the creative-based reasoning, was amplified.
Yes. And because of that, like every single vision I had, before I mention that, when I changed my mindset, what I did is instead of trying to focus on things I couldn't control, I focused on things that I could create. So because the left side of my brain was really messed up, the right side, I have a bunch of random visions, whether it was a mural, whether it was an art piece, whether it was a poem, whether it was something that I needed to create. I just did it because I had the time, I had the energy. I didn't have a lot of money, but I was like, I can't do anything else. I might as well put these ideas into an item, these thoughts into a thing. And one of those ideas was Soulita. One of the products in Soulita was Soulita soap that turned into Soulita. So to answer your question, finding it within, I truly had to change my mindset. Not things I couldn't control, but things I could create.
So I think it's actually a really good segue into, you're saying you had the vision, the idea for Soulita. Did that also come from, and I just want to make sure I read this correctly, because I try to do my research, that, you're able to bathe yourself again without assistance, and all of a sudden you're breaking out in rashes. So did the idea come before that, or did that happen and then you had that vision? And then additional sub-question onto that, did the doctors or anything try to prescribe you medication or something, being like, oh, that's like your body doing a response, like, here, take this med? Because I'm interested in that part as well.
Yeah, they gave me a lot of medicine.
And as you specifically for the skin part?
Oh no, sorry, no,
okay,
no. Everything else.
Okay.
I didn't take it. I didn't take it. Once, not to dive deep into this, but coming from having to take a handful. Well, I never took pills before, but having to take a handful every 4 hours, and then they didn't have to force me because I was like at home. I was like, nah, I'm not taking this no more. So even if I never wanted to go and to a dermatologist or to let them know about how my body was reacting, because I always knew that there's a natural alternative way to do it. And I know that they couldn't give me anything that was really going to heal me in a natural way. And
so that happening, did you have the vision for Soulita soaps
that was
after that?
It was after, because it was my first shower after leaving the hospital, and I used a Dove bar, and I just started breaking out, and everywhere my skin became so sensitive, and I didn't really start. Remember how I told you, like, I had all these visions? I was focusing more on creating the mural and like doing all this. It took from me being back home in July 2018. I didn't really start creating the product until about this January 2019.
And I want to get into that in a little bit, but quick question, because you were talking about the dermatologist and taking medication. Why do you, in just your hot take opinion, and actually this is for both of you, and don't worry, we're gonna let you speak more, buddy. But we just gotta get the origin story done first. But this is to both of you. I like to get the opinion. Why do you think? And for certain things, I get it. Like, I get that there are certain medications that we know work, and there's a reason. And like, I'm not here to hate on doctors in any way, shape, or form, because they're doing the best with the information they get, and then they prescribe it because that's what they're supposed to do. And I feel like this happens in Western societies more than Eastern societies. Why is it that you think we in a Western society are drawn more to the synthetic medication, I guess, rather than not even like, let's go to, but like even considering the more natural remedies, even though they've technically been around longer? Maybe not for every, you know what I mean? Not for everything, but like, why is it that like, no, the go-to should be the synthetic thing, not the thing that's existed, which kind of perplexes. Like, I get it in some aspects, but in some other aspects, like, I don't understand. I'm like, that makes, like, would you try the natural thing first? And if that like didn't work, then go on to the synthetic thing to see if that works, not the other way around?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, pretty much like in today's times, I mean, it's glorified and it's kind of celebrated within like several cultures. So I think we become more prone to taking something that is over the shelf, as opposed to like something that is still fully developing, within our own knowledge. when it comes to like natural and organic, products such as herbs and medicines. And for me, I discovered or taken that natural route in 2019 where I joined Soulita. So I was more so prone to like taking over the shelf, over the counter, medicines. That's because, just traditions and, my mom always told me, take Tylenol or take, these medicines that she had in her cabinets. She was never really prone to like the natural route. So for me, just learning and kind of exploring, and, just experiencing the natural route and just pretty much like seeing how beneficial it can be. But that's my take on it.
I think the whole pharmaceutical sector, they want customers, they don't want survivors or just like people to overcome things. So they're always going to put something they create in a lab before something that they can find in roots. But I do want to say that Soulita is not like anti-chemical because everything's a chemical. And we are natural with modern science. We believe that our products we want it to be effective and safe. So we're on both ends. We're on both ends.
You actually already answered my next question, which was because it's almost like because like there's sometimes like the way the question gets framed, and I admit I do this too. Sometimes it's like an either or, and it's like, well, why can't it be an and? Like, why do they have to be diametrically opposed? Why can't they help each other out? Like, there seems to be advantages to both. So thank you for. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Listen, but I can go hard with this because
I mean, go for it.
So the whole thing is, I can actually talk more junk about the natural community, the clean beauty community before when it comes to chemists and cosmetic chemists, because the whole trend of if you can't pronounce an ingredient, then maybe you shouldn't put it on your body. That's bullshit. First, learn how to pronounce it. Two, you can look up like a lot of these chemicals or things that are made in the lab are derived from coconuts or
different chilies. Plants. It's just different like they use the scientific name, and then sometimes they'll put in parentheses, it's this. But you're like, oh, it's the scientific name. It just sounds more complicated.
Exactly.
But then you're like, oh, that's aloe leaf. But then it's like something extract. And you're like,
yes.
Oh, it's aloe leaf. They're just using the scientifically correct name for it.
Another thing is like, not only that, but this whole greenwashing where they're putting things on their website or on the lab and their label where it's like trying to say paraben free. Not all parabens are bad, or things like no toxins. Well, there shouldn't be any toxins. And toxicity, how you pronounce toxicity? I said that right?
Toxicity, I think.
Toxicity it's all about how much. Because water can be toxic. You can drown. Right. You get me?
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the natural side of it, the natural crew, I'm tired of hearing stuff like that.
Oh, I got a question that's somewhat related to that rabbit hole, but we'll go down that in a bit. So I think this is a good segue into the question I have, in the sense that, so you're sitting here, you're like, okay, I don't want to go to the dermatologist. I want to, and I need to bathe. And so can you walk me through, because you had a background in one thing, now you're like, okay, I have this idea. Can you walk me through, and I understand why soap, because you need to wash yourself. So you're like, okay, I need to figure out something. I need to figure out a way to do it without the dermatologist. Can you walk me through what the first, actions of research were like? Like, what did you start looking up? What did you start researching? What did you start trying to find out in order to figure out how this was going to work?
Yeah. So mind you, I couldn't read. It was hard for me to speak. I could speak English, but it was as if I was like 5 or 6 years old. I couldn't pronounce. Like, I remember relearning how to pronounce elephant and pasta and pinky. And so the first things that I had to do for research is I needed to learn how to read. And so what I did is I went to Savers and I got books related to natural remedies. So books about aromatherapy and herbalism. And I still have the books now. Sometimes I look at it to help me make new products. But the first thing I did was books and YouTube and certificate classes. And the one thing about the aneurysm, it's like, yeah, it took a lot away from me, but once I learned it again, nothing else was taking it out. Nothing else was going to be taken away from me. So as months went on, I just got better and better and better to the point where I am right now. And you can't even tell that I had a language disorder. And so it was the books, the YouTube, certificate classes, and then also messaging people that were already making products and then asking them, okay, where did you learn how to do this? And it was entirely new to me. I'm always like natural things, but I had no knowledge on it at all. And everything was tested on humans every time I made a new formulation. And I would say, yeah, that was the beginning.
Those first formulations, besides testing on people, how did they come out, and how did you figure out, like, hey, I'm in a rhythm of these are the ones that work? You know, like what I guess besides an obvious, like, it caused a rash. Okay, obviously we're not going to use that one. But like besides something like that, those first formulations, how did you figure out, like, okay, this works, keep going in this direction, or like, hey, it's 80% of the way there, but it's not 100% of the way? Like, was there any rubric or metric, or was it just based on feel, or like, were you kind of trying to, or was there a specific end game in mind?
Honestly, it was just about the first formulations, because they were so simple and concentrated. I never really had bad batches because I really focused on the science of it.
Okay.
And like the first product ever was the rose oil, and that's actually our number one seller. And then it was rose water and beard oil. Beard oil was always part of it because I knew Soulita needed to be for everybody. And like all of those are 100% oil. So, well, the rose water is like rose hydrosol, witch hazel, which needs a preservative. But each of our products has less than 9 ingredients in it. So because it's like simple formulations are very effective, I didn't really have many problems where it's like I had to test it more. That's why I really focused on, okay, I need people to test this and let me know what you think about it.
Was there a particular moment or formulation, or again, was it an evolution where it's like, because you're making this for yourself?
Yeah.
Was there a moment or realization where it's like, oh, I can sell this? Like, when did it flip from, I need to do this for me because I need stuff for me and I need to do something because this experience happened to me? Was there a moment, or again, was it a series of where it flipped from that to, oh, I can make this into a business?
Yeah. February 2019. It was Valentine's Day around that time. And at that time, I was focusing more on soap bars. And one of the visions in my head was everybody, when they think about soap, they have an idea in their head where it's a rectangle, white bar with a logo on it. And when you think about soap, that's usually what you think about.
I mean, when you were mentioning Dove, all I could think of was like the oval Dove shape with a dove in the middle, like it's etched in.
Exactly. And as an artist, some of the favorite art that I really appreciate is when you get something that everybody sees it as one way and you flip it.
You change the perception.
You change the perspective of it. And so that's what I did with soap bars. Why can't I make this soap, have it different colors, add botanical herbs in it? Why can't I put your name on it? Why can't I have them different smells and just like a super, super customized, personalized soap bar? So for Valentine's Day, weeks before, I started making soap baskets, and I did pre-made ones, and I made maybe like 12 or maybe a little bit more than that. And I started posting on Instagram. All of them got sold out because like everybody's looking at it. They're like, oh, this is unique. It became, I really pushed like these soap bars are natural. They're great. You should really use it. But I put it together so pretty that a lot of people just leave it in their bathroom as a decoration. So I was like, they were focusing more on the art of it. And
rather than the utility.
Yeah. And then also like I was making soap bars like in the shape of like ones, sneakers, Yeezys, and all that. So people were seeing something different that they never saw before. So that's when I knew it was like I should. At that time, I sold like all of them in February after Valentine's Day was over. But after that, I stopped because I didn't know what to go next. So from February up until fall, all I did was worked on getting my confidence back because like I lost all my hair. I didn't really have a lot of friends. So throughout the whole summer and spring, all I focused on getting myself back physically. And around August, I'm like, okay, I had an awesome summer. I feel good. My well-being is good. Now I need to figure out what's my next move. And that's when I dropped the first Soulita soap website in September 29th, 2019.
So we're at that junction. So a couple of questions there. First being, you're trying to just get yourself back together before getting the business together, right? And before we go into the names, that's an important question too. But just from a business standpoint, one question: was it self-funded, or did you take like the money made from like the baskets, and was that what funded it? How did you get that funding? Is the first question, or was it just like, hey, here's what's in my bank account and make this work?
Yeah. Honestly, most of the ingredients that I had to get, I bought it with my food stamps card that I got after the aneurysm. Because going to Walmart, I could still get quality stuff, the organic oils, and so I would the money from that I would just get online, even if I did a mural, because that's another thing that I was doing murals around mostly the city, and I would use that money to get some ingredients, but mostly I got them off my food stamps card, and so it was self-funded, but I didn't have much. Like when I left Sprint, I had money in my bank, but my wealth lasted only 8 months. After that, like I wasn't getting help. So it was like whatever I sold on Instagram was what was in my bank account. And like I mind you, I didn't have any business education. I didn't have a network, and I didn't have business education. I didn't have no capital, and I didn't have a network. So what I did when I first started was I went to look who could teach me business for free. And that's when I just dived deep in so many different business related organizations and nonprofits to teach me like, okay, how can I do this? And I mean, I still didn't get like grants and stuff like that till like years later.
If you don't mind, what were some of those organizations, just in case anybody else is in that situation where it's like, hey, I have this idea but I don't know how to go about it from the business standpoint.
Yeah. The Center for Women in Enterprise, RIBA, the Rhode Island Black Business Association, SEG, the Social Enterprise, SEG, Greenhouse. Right now, a really good one is Pepito Foundation. There's honestly like so many. The Hispanic Chamber and Commerce. There's
Yeah.
SBA, Small Business Association.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like there's a few, but still not enough.
Mwah.
I was gonna actually
There's a
this
lot.
question's for both of you because this is one thing I've asked this on other episodes to other people. Yes, I'm shamelessly self-promoting other episodes, folks. Like this is what I do. Go listen to the Liz Tanner one because I think it has a lot to do with that episode where I even went to Liz and I said, "Do you?" And I want to ask you both this same question because I want to get the other side of it. But I wanted to ask somebody that was within local state government just to give some background on the question. Hey, there's resources, but it seems like there's people don't know that the resources exist. Because she was saying all these organizations, I'm like, okay, great. I haven't heard of like half of those. You know what I mean? And like, even if I were to try and Google that, some of them don't come up. So just from your both experience, and we could talk in generalities, but I'm just going to keep it local to Rhode Island and Providence. Sorry for anybody outside of the state that's listening. But do you think that there's an issue of, you just said there's not enough, but is there also an issue of like a promotion and letting people know that these places exist? And, from your experience, not to dive too deep, unless you want to, then go for it. What can be done to change that? Because it seems like it's not even a resource issue, but also like a promotion issue and letting people know, hey, we exist and here's what we do issue. And I could be wrong, but I would like to get both your opinion on that.
Yo, that's legit. That's legit part of what I'm trying to do right now. Like, I have my Instagram CEO, Lexus Fernandez, where all I want to talk about is my entrepreneurship journey and really push things, different programs, different loans, grants in Rhode Island because I see that, I feel that, I've experienced that, and it's not promoted. It's really not.
I've found ones like the not to cut you off, like the CIC building, the center,
Yes.
the Cambridge Innovation Center. Yes, it's Cambridge, but we have the second one, I guess. And like every Thursday, they have like people come in and do talks on different business sectors. You can get free beer. I'm not kidding. There's free beer. And it's like every Thursday. But like I found out about that completely on accident. I also found out completely on accident. You can go there they may not be happy that I'm saying this, but like you can go there for free, and like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and have free Wi-Fi and like it's open forum. It's like a desk to work at. Right. So if you're working on your business, like there you go. There's a free spot with like good internet speed and power. And like I would tell people like that place exists, and I'm like, yeah, it's that big, like oh that big giant build. I'm like, yeah, they're like, oh, I thought that was like an office, but like, well, it is sort of.
Right.
So yeah, it's like even like I found more things on accident than I have like actually searching. But yeah, sorry, I was cutting you off. I want get your opinion on this.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say like that's like one of the major issues that I think we do have is it's not being promoted enough. But what we try to do is we try to reroute that strategy where we would spread that wealth, whether it's like Lex said, through her profile or even within the business, we would try to expand and kind of exploit the other opportunities out there. We are able to find grants or loans or just other services that may benefit and boost up your business. So yeah, sometimes you might find it by accident,
It's just such a weird thing I've noticed where it's like the people that actually need the money to start the businesses at the ground level that are going to help people within the community can't get it. But then people who already have more than enough money, a bank is like, here you go. Like, take more, please. And you're like, they should get that makes no sense. The people who need the most help, they get very little resources. But like, if you've already been proven established, which is great. Like, I'm not hating on the fact that you have a successful business, but it's like, you need the least help. You have more resources, and then like you have easier access to resources than the people who need to get stuff off the ground. It's very weird. Like we may have started a separate podcast, folks, but like there's like a whole weird rabbit hole to go down.
And we also experienced that as well, where it's just like we see we saw the businesses get more money that were already established.
You're like, you don't need this.
Right. Like we needed more, but we just have to grind harder and really just, make ends meet and pretty much, get there somehow, some way.
So I also want to ask, besides the website and having the product, were there any other things that you prioritized in the first run of, and we'll get to why I said first run in a bit, that you were like, I need to have set up before this thing launches? Like, besides the website and the product, or was like those were the two things?
Straight up, I really didn't know how business education. Like, I was one of those, me, like, even the day that I was dropping on it, I dropped the website, I was still working on it. Like, I just truly, I created something. I created nothing from something. I'm sorry, I created something from nothing. I truly did not know what I was doing, but I still told myself I'm going to do it and I'm going to work on it. And any type of failure, I'm going to see it as feedback and I'm going to try again and try again and try again. So the only thing that I was thinking about was the website and making the product. I didn't know about anything else.
Now, we were talking about getting the word out about certain business programs, and how did you get the word out about, like, hey, I have this thing, this website, this business?
Straight up, like that summer that I said that, getting my confidence back, what I was doing is I wanted to like make friends. And what I would do is I would speak at poetry nights and like share my story. And then also like I would go to the events with little sample soaps and like give it to people. So like I was just promoting wherever I went. And like that's how I kind of got that type of community that knew about Soulita. My market, like target, was just people that I knew. Like I didn't know like there was supposed to be like a certain type of people that I'm trying to target at. I didn't have any knowledge on how to really do it. I just did it. And I just promoted with people that were in Providence.
Can you explain the name Soulita? Because I've read that depending on the pronunciation of it and how it's written down, it can actually mean different things. And those double meanings are, I guess, built into the brand and built in the name, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So after that summer of 2019, and I'm like, all right, I want to create a website, but I need a name for this type of business. I legit sat myself down. The first thing I thought about was, what are certain words that I just like the way it rolls off my tongue? So I like the word película, which means like movies in Spanish, I was like, okay, no. And then the next word was Soulita. Soulita, but without a U. Soulita in Spanish means alone. But I'm like, how can I like rework this? So how about it's not alone? It's actually for yourself. When I did a little bit Google search about the word Soulita, and I saw this sentence, and it's para ti solita, for your very own. And like for your very own, excuse me, that's perfect because self-care is for yourself. And I added the U for holistic healing because legit, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't focus on my own holistic self-care. Soulita gave me purpose back in life. So yes, we sell natural products. We sell self-care practices. Like that's the mission. That's the vision. And that's how I put it all together. Just adding the U. And then I went to, look up if anybody else had it. And nobody had it. And having that part, the soul part, meant a lot to me. That root, super important.
It was to, oh, sorry.
No. Go for it.
Nah, I was just going to say it was to the point where they thought that was her name.
Yeah.
Soulita.
That's how I know like how people know me. If they call me by different things. Right. And if they say Soulita, I answer to Soulita. Like I feel like I'm the soul of Soulita.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, but like I just wonder like how far can you take that? And then like when somebody calls you by your real name, it's like, wait, what? Right. I feel like if you didn't own the business, I feel like you could have fun with that because I had that in my office job where everybody called me by a nickname, but it got to the point where I was just like, wait a minute, I can get away with so much horrible things.
Right.
And then when everybody's like, where is that guy? I'd be like, I don't know. Like like he screwed me over too. Screw that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like just kind of,
That's funny.
what was it? That Seinfeld episode where,
Ooh, that's
I
my show.
think I've mentioned this before on the show, but there was a Seinfeld episode of where it was like Elaine said her name was Susie and like convinced everybody in her, because she ate a cake that was like a super old cake, and like when they were like trying to find out, she's like, oh, it was Susie. And then like she blamed it on this. She made up this person Susie, but then it just like kept going, and she had to keep the lie going. And it got to the point where like they're like, what happened to Susie? She's dead. And like they had a funeral for a woman that never existed. And then like
sounds like a
her
Seinfeld
boss does a eulogy, and like the eulogy's like, I had an affair with Susie. And like even Jerry's looking at her like, what the hell is he? She's like, I have no idea.
That's funny.
Like whenever I hear that, like when somebody's like, oh, I got a nickname, I'm like, man, I should have taken more advantage of that in the office and just done like horrible things and blamed it on this guy that didn't exist. Like I could have gotten away with it. Anyway, besides the Seinfeld talk, also just random note, and I'm not even editing this out.
You better not.
Seinfeld Wu-Tang is one of the best Instagram accounts I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, I gotta check that out.
Oh, we can look at that later because it's gold.
I'm a super fan.
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. So I mentioned before it was a first launch.
Yeah.
And so, and we're finally now the conversation is going to be the both of you rather than just focusing on you, Lexus. I know. We have to bring Evan in at some point.
Well, honestly, like
It's all good.
right there when I dropped that's when me and Evan first met. And like that first launch, that was trash because I didn't know what I was doing. And I mean,
so question on that, what were, and I wonder if it's more like a hindsight thing rather than being in the moment thing, but on that first launch, for Gen 1 of Soulita, which was the full name Soulita Soaps?
Soulita Soaps.
Okay. I could try and pronounce it like that, but my tongue can't roll.
Say it. Let me hear.
Solita.
You did it perfect.
See, I always think it sounds weird coming out. I'm like no, like I feel like
you did it right.
I feel like I'm like this like white Jesus trying to look like Rico Suave over here.
Yeah.
But once you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. You sound great.
Right. Good to know. I'll have to try that more. Anyway.
Do it again one more time.
Solita. She's like, no, like we're gonna get this. Like this is happening.
No, I like
That's
it.
a thing.
What would you say were the issues of that first launch? You were saying it was trash. Like why? And feel free to elaborate if this is hindsight or if you did see it in the moment. What were the issues with the first launch?
I thought just because I did a lot of customizing, coding on Tumblr that I knew a lot on like how to do a website. And I mean, it was all like a template through Wix, but to be honest, I didn't give myself enough time. It's more like I gave the date first and then started working on it instead
so you're working backwards from the deadline.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's what I was doing. So that was one of the bad parts. I even remember some of the product descriptions weren't even finished. And when I dropped it, I didn't realize it.
Oh wait, did I have like the lorem ipsum sample text? Because that would have been hilarious.
Yo, it was, I think I made $100.
Better than zero.
It is. And you know what? It's funny because my first customer ever, he actually works with us. So it went from him buying a beard oil to actually making. He the first person that we allowed to be a formulator with our business. Christian.
I thought you were gonna say your mom.
No,
Because that's usually what happens, right? Family.
No. Actually, none of my family bought.
But then also though, sometimes it's not the best to do business with family because if something goes wrong, it's just like, oh, now I have to argue with you at the corporate table and the dinner table. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'll say one other thing is like one of the things that meeting Evan just like taught me is I didn't realize how low quality my stuff was because I tried my hardest and I was proud of what I did. And I just, because I was doing the best that I could, and what was creative to me isn't exactly creative to someone else. So like another detail was it was just low quality. It was low quality. Whenever.
I never said it was like
No.
bad.
Listen, okay. He didn't say it was bad. He just said like there's room for improvement, and
in creative speak, that means this is awful.
Right?
no. So like I personally, I couldn't see something. I couldn't see it because this was all I knew, and I was trying my best, and my best was just low quality in the beginning. It was like sometimes you don't want your stuff to look homemade. I didn't realize that, or like local made. Like he taught me how to. There's no reason why if I put my products on the shelf, it looked different. Like it would look out of place. It should look unique. It looks like it should fit there, and it's like he taught me about having inspiration when it came to looking at other brands. And why am I over here comparing my stuff, my business, Soulita soaps, to other local businesses instead of comparing Soulita soaps to big national worldwide brands? And that's what he taught me quick.
So I think this is a really good segue into Evan. You met Lexus through mutual friends.
How you know? How you know?
I do my research.
Where? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I was in New York.
Listen, I don't think you realize I'm the Providence version of Nardwar, or at least I'm aspiring to be.
How you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was in New York at the time, and during her campaign for the beard oil, I meet a friend of mine, just like a cousin of mine, close to the family. She reached out to me on Instagram asking or wondering if I wanted to do or be a part of her campaign. Unfortunately, I was in New York, and I had shaved my beard for a movie role that I was partaking at the time. But fast forward.
Wait, what movie was it in case anybody wants to see it?
Oh my God.
So it was a low budget movie. It was called The Calm.
It can't be as bad as Death Mall or Murder Mall and Deathbed, the bed that eats people. Also, everybody, like, wait till this episode's over, then go look up Deathbed, the bed that eats people. Patton Oswalt did an entire bit dedicated to it,
my God.
and how ridiculous it is. And also Murder Mall,
Right.
where if you listen to the Zuri episode, this is why Zuri and I ran out of there, because it was basically the plot of Murder Mall, where we thought the vacuum robot was going to kill us.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was a good movie. You know, it was just one of those movies where I was just trying to like build my portfolio. That's all.
Because you were acting, but then you also had a fashion background and
Correct.
a marketing background as well.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah.
So you're just the triple threat Pharrell. You're just not a
Pretty much,
vampire.
Pretty much. You know,
That's the missing piece.
like Virgil, there's no title to what I do. I want to categorize myself, and I didn't want to categorize myself into just like one thing, because I felt like, you know, as humans we carry different talents, and you know, some we explore, some we don't. We stick to one. But yeah. So fast forward, you know, I ended up doing another film that was filming in Providence or Pawtucket at the time. And that was called La Soga 2.
That's a big one.
It was bigger than my usual films. But, you know, just one random night, I was walking on Fed Hill.
Yeah.
And I had seen, I didn't see Lexus.
I
She
saw
seen
him.
me.
I saw him from afar. I turned around and I was like, should I say something? Should I say something?
It's been a while, by the way. It was a large gap from the time that we
No.
messaged on Instagram.
That was only like 2 months.
That's a large gap.
Okay, yeah.
And with my memory.
Yeah, that was only 2 months. I turned around, I saw him, and I'm like, Soulita? Like, trying to, because he was looking at me, he was like, who are you?
Right.
And like, that was like the first like conversation.
Right. And I told her, like, I still want to be a part of the brand. Let me see what you got, and we'll see what we can do or where we can go from there.
There's a part of me now that just wants the brand story made. So I met this strange woman at Federal Hill. I'm like,
Yes.
wow, there's a lot of stories.
Right.
That's
But, actually, during the whole Instagram conversation, I did bring up, hey, like, and not considering what the brand was at the time. Like, I'm like, well, do you have a contract? Do I have to give you a contract?
Yo, when I read that, I was like, fuck out of here. What? I was like, I was not there.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave him to the side because he was too established.
During the time also,
I couldn't work with him.
During the time, I was also signed. So,
signed as an actor or as a marketing creative? Or?
Just as a model.
Oh, okay.
So, there's only, there's a cap of what I could do without their, permission and whatnot. So, and just having a contract was a little more professional and responsible. But yeah, so I started hanging out with Lex, and it was called Soulita Soaps at the time, like she said. And she did have a variation of different types of cool, dope, personalized soaps that people love.
They did.
They were crazy about the soaps, and along with the other products that she had mentioned. So I started just hanging out, observing the brand, kind of like studying the brand, and along the way I was observing like, what can be improved along the way.
Not to interrupt you, but what drew you to like want to hang out more and stay with it rather than like, oh, this is cool, but like good, like, what I mean? Like I'll buy, I'll support, and like,
right.
Because I think there's a difference between like being a fan and like supporting something and then be like, no, I need to be involved with this.
Right.
Was that like a moment? And I asked this question a lot because I think it's interesting whether it's a moment or whether it's a series of things, or was it from hanging out and just getting to know Lexus and the brand more?
Yeah.
Was it that kind of thing?
I would say, yeah.
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really expecting on staying in Rhode Island. So I didn't know what, the future held. But, this, and I knew like, seeing her business, and if I was to be involved in it, it wouldn't have been my first rodeo. So pretty much, and I seen a lot of potential within her brand. And I seen, like she said, it wasn't a bad brand, but I seen a lot of faults. And if I'm going to hang around somebody more and more, and despite, her being a cool person, we started getting close personally. But on the business side, it's just like, if I'm going to hang out with you, or if I'm going to leave, let me at least pass down some gems or help you enhance your business.
So 2 really important tactical questions on that. I think the first one is, what were some of those faults, and, what did you think was the right way to correct those faults? But I think on top of that, and I want you to dive into this as well, because I think the second part of this question is crucial as well. There's this idea that it's like, hey, what problems do you as a person gravitate towards within, and like what problems do you actually want to solve and get excited about solving? Maybe that's something you should do as far as finding your purpose or finding your career, right? But also it's like, how do you do it in a way where it's, I think I forgot who was talking about, but there was like the person I was watching, they were doing an interview about this, and they were like, hey, I have a friend who's an architect. And so when we go to buildings, they're pointing out the ways that they were done wrong, basically, and how they would fix them. And it's not like being a critic for a critic's sake and being a jerk. It's like, that's what their brain is in tune with. Right. But they're able to verbalize it in a way where it's not like condescending, and it's not like, this thing's like, oh, it's still a beautiful building, but like, see how they did this here, like what they needed, but like, that's how. So what were some of the first things that you saw that were incorrect that you wanted to fix? How did you go about fixing them? How did you lay it out? But then also, how did you lay it out where it was respectful rather than just being a critic for a critic's sake? Because I think that whole thing is important. Not just, here's a problem, this sucks, but it's like, here's a problem, here's how you fix it. Correct. And also, let me explain it to you in a way that's not kind of like, I actually truly want to help. Because I think sometimes if you can't verbalize it as well, and it comes off as criticism rather than like, no, but I'm trying to help you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think Well, yeah, it was the website, and getting the visual part of things correct, and marketable. But I feel like for me, a good tactic that I used, and I still use till this day, is I ask a lot of questions, instead of being the person with all the answers. So more or less, it's like, well, how far do you want to take the brand? Tell me about the brand. What are the core values of the brand? Like, what aesthetics do you want to use, and like, what audience do you want to gravitate to? So instead of me like, hey, you should do this, you should do that, it's more or less, what do you want to do, and what can I do to help out? Let me play my part.
Damn, that's true.
And for me, I feel like respectfully, that was the right way to go about it. And still not fully knowing Lexus as a person and the brand for what it was. But yeah, I mean, the faults I seen was it just didn't have a few components. Whether it's tapping into the marketing department, the branding department, it was just a brand. And the products that, and the products that she had, the soaps, personally, I didn't really see it going too far, because most of them, and she would probably disagree, or she disagreed then, but I don't know about now. But it was kind of controversial. And
basically, I had like a soap bar in the shape of AK-47.
AK-47s, grenades.
And grenades.
I was going to ask, like, could that, or Evan, did you see that more as like, when you, I think especially before Lexus, when you were saying how like they were in the shape of like Yeezys or J's. Evan, did you feel like that took away from like the soap itself and the quality and the ingredients, and it's just more like, here's this, like, because I wonder if like there was like the trap of like it's a trend, and then it's like,
right.
And hey, when the sneakerheads go away, when that's like, then who else are you gonna sell to? So it's like,
Correct.
I like this thing because it's a cool shape, but not because of it's a quality product made out of.
Correct.
I didn't have a target audience.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And yeah, I didn't want to stay with trends. That's something that I
Because they come and go.
Exactly. So, for us, I wanted this brand to be something that would last forever. And on its own, creating its own trends, creating its own aesthetic, its own energy, its own style. And that's why, to circle back, I allow Lex to look at other brands. Now, the local brands, but more so like bigger brands, such as, just high-end, brands like Glacier or,
Aesop?
Aesop, which, I look up to these brands. And that's, as a business, that's what you want to do.
I remember meeting you here. That's how this episode happened. And I was like, and I couldn't buy a lot of stuff just because I have a nut allergy. So I wanted to, but I wanted to get the beard oil, but I couldn't. I almost had that problem last week. Actually, I bought beard soap, and they listed ingredients, but they didn't do the full list. So I was about to put it on, and it had almond oil, and I'm like, this would have been a trip to the hospital.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
Oh god, that would have been horrifying. But I remember saying like, oh, this is like Aesop, but not as intimidating.
Right.
Like, because I sometimes go in those
That's
Aesop
funny.
places, and I'm just like, all right, I definitely can't afford to shop here. Like, I'm gonna see myself out. Thank you, and I'm gonna leave. And like, it had that vibe, but also it was very approachable. I didn't feel the intimidation. So I think it's funny we were mentioning different higher end brands, and I'm like, oh, it's like Aesop, but like I don't feel intimidated.
Yeah, and
Great.
that's the thing. Like, you can find inspiration in these brands, but you set your own narrative and how you want to go about things. Whether it's like in the business, or just like how you want the consumer to feel when they walk into a store, or even the online presence. Because that's, what we prioritize.
And just another tactical question. This wasn't a planned question, but I just think we're on the subject. I think it's important because Lexus, you were mentioning this difference of being a local, and I'm not saying this to hate on anybody either, by the way, before anybody turns this into a soundbite and then like get made to look like the bad guy. But this differentiation between a brand that's known at the farmer's market, so to speak, where it's like, oh, they're always at the farmer's market there, versus like not being a brand that stands on its own, that like is not the quote unquote local farmer's market. Like, this is a brand that can go toe to toe with anyone or anything.
Yeah.
And I want both of your opinion on this. what do you think makes that difference? And I ask that because I've seen other brands where like their website and their marketing and everything looks really slick, and then you get the product and it sucks and it's shit. And they're like, quote, nobody can see what I'm doing because I'm doing air quotes, quote unquote, farmers market brands that their logo or their branding doesn't look that good, but the product like outshines the other person with all that stuff. It's because like sometimes you find like the opposite. It's almost like you need the both together.
Right.
So in both of your opinion, what do you think is the differentiator? Or like, what if somebody is hearing this and hopefully they're not pissed off, and maybe they have the farmers market brand, they want to elevate it to a brand that can go toe to toe. What do you think are some of the differentiating factors? And more specifically, Efren. Nope, it's not that episode. It's not the beer episode, everybody. Shout outs to Efren if he hears this. Maybe I should go get a beer there later. No, what is the differentiator? What do you think are some, and is it a tangible, is it an intangible? Question for both of you, but Evan, definitely want to get your take on it too, because I think this is getting in a little bit into more of the tactical.
I'll start because you can definitely finish, but like one of the number one things that I can definitely say is the aesthetic, how it looks, like the label, and like that right there. Like these products stand by themselves and they're profound. The way that it's put together, and even if it wasn't good inside, it looks real good. And these products, like the beard line, is handsome. Just looking at it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's true. Each of the product, and like one of our focus with Soulita is finger air quotes, is like we didn't want gendered colors because we wanted this for everybody. So like nothing that would promote like this is for women or this is just for men, but more like this is for everybody. So even when you come to our space, you have natural colors, you're seeing rocks, you're seeing trees, because this is what we're embedded, instead of, okay, these self-care products are just for women and this is just for men. And like, no, all of these products are for everybody. Unless, the pregnancy line is for women and the beard line is like for people with beards. But it's the look of it. Before you like get into it, I just want to say this like one quote. We had a phone conversation with the founder of a CEO of Plant City, Kim Anderson.
Which is also one of your distributors.
Yes.
Shout outs to Plant City.
Shout out to Plant City. So we actually got a phone on with Kim, and it had nothing to do with about Plant City be our retail partnership. Nothing at all. Basically, through SEG, we got like a free 5 hours of help from this marketing guy. And he's like, oh, my friend is Kim. Maybe if y'all have a conversation, maybe you can get some advice or whatever. So knowing me being so like handmade, making this stuff myself, I'm like, maybe I should ask her what's her favorite organic oil, or just like, she wasn't making any of her products, which makes sense, having things manufactured. But when we got on the phone with her, she asked like, what's your Instagram? I was like, oh, like I'll send it to you after this. She's like, no, I want to see it now. We gave it to her and she's looking at the photos and she's like, oh my gosh, I've seen your brand before and I wanted to get in touch with you, but I just forgot. And one of the things that I'll never forget is, and mind you, this is just me and Evan. We had no store, no office, no manufacturing space. We had nothing. We actually didn't have retail partners either. We had maybe one. Mm-hmm. And she said, when I work with brands, once I see their product, I know that they're not going to make it. When I saw your products, I could see Soulita in being $1 million business at Macy's. And then she said, how fast can you give me $1,000 worth of product by tomorrow? And like me and Evan were like, and that was the whole conversation. So she was asking things like, oh, who's your photographer? Who's your this? Who's your this? Where's your office? And we're like, it's just us. Which is already like humbling for her to say that, and for us to look at like hard work we were doing. It was nice to hear that, because from the outside, she thought we were really bigger than we was, and little does she know it was just us. And so to answer the question is how it looks, honestly, and how. And I would say probably the number one for me is the label, how the products look, how they look all together, even before you look at the list of the ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And yeah, I mean, the visual aspect of a brand, that matters a lot, because that's what people are going to look at first, whether it's the social and so forth. But to go back to what you were saying about the marketplaces and so forth, I think a lot of brands, that I've witnessed and I experienced, some of them, not all, they focus too much on the product, and then they lose a lot of the whole marketing aspect of things. And, I know sometimes it's hard. A lot of small businesses that I interact with, it's just one person. So I understand covering all fields. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times you lose, you kind of lose quality of one or the other. Whether or whatever it is you're prioritizing on. I know for us, the way we kind of like structure things is we focus on our premium products first, which are our like best sellers, and then we move on to the next. So it's kind of creating a formula, but also, staying by our narrative and our aesthetics. Like Lex said, Kim, she reached out and, she, thought all these great things. And that was just through visuals. Yeah. And pretty much I can say, honestly, just the Instagram. And, that's what it's good, just to have a good and just have good quality photos, product pics, a good website, and just, prestige, content all around. But, aside from that, you do need to focus on the product, focusing on the labels, making it look good inside out, which I feel like a lot of people don't, balance out, or it's just challenging in that sense. We are fortunate that there is two of us, where one can focus on one thing while the other focuses on another thing. But yeah, and honestly, it's knowing and doing things beyond your limitations. Pretty much, like I'm coming from the city, so I know what else is out there. I know what other platforms are out there. I know where I'm trying to reach and where I'm trying to take the business to, as opposed to somebody who's local and is, I want to say, limited to marketplaces, but they're not exploring enough, or so much where they can see, well, I can take my brand here, or this is what this brand is doing in this country or state. Let me bring it to Rhode Island in that sense.
So now I want to, flip that question on its head a little, the previous question on its head a little bit, in the sense of, and this is something that I've been seeing, just not even limited to the beauty space, but just content and marketing in general. Right. And again, this was not even a planned one. This was, but as you were talking, I'm like, I really want to get both your opinions on the following. And I mentioned this on a previous episode as well, but it's becoming more and more, I think, just kind of in the zeitgeist, at least as far as marketing and content goes. And it's this idea of, I think Gary Vaynerchuk champions it a lot, and Mr. Beast does this, where it's almost like, don't try to make it look too pretty. Stop overanalyzing things. Just constantly put stuff out. Doesn't matter. Just document. Just throw it out there. The market will decide if the idea is good or bad, which I'm like, okay, well then how does anything new get made if everybody's just chasing trends, which I feel like everybody starts looking the same because of that. But there's even marketing and creative podcasts and blogs, and there was one guy talking through how he came from a production company with a really good production background and made this stylized ad that the numbers only did so much, and then they did the exact same ad, but instead of it being stylized and edited, the dude just pulled pulled his phone out and had the guy that they were doing the ad about. I think it was for a music production masterclass. He did another one where he just, as he was on set making the stylized one, he just had the guy talk about his masterclass for like 30 seconds.
Right.
And that one, the lo-fi, quote unquote, crappier looking, less stylized one did better metrics wise for conversions and things than the stylized ad that they put effort into. Same with, so and like in the Mr. Beast was like, yeah, like that guy can afford, the guy's like billionaire, like he can afford the best production crews and he doesn't. Like, and he's like, oh, that's an intended choice because it comes off more genuine, quote unquote. What are your takes and thoughts on that? Because I can see both sides. Like, you want something to look aesthetically good and pleasing, and you want to put effort into it and make it look good. But it's almost like there's like this weird pendulum swing where, like, I don't know if this is a reaction. I don't know if it's because we're in the age of TikTok. I don't know if it's because we've started realizing influencers were paid, so now it's like we're taking the cover off. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Where it's like almost like, no, just put it out. Don't even polish it. Just put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like as humans, we're unpredictable. Like, one person may like one thing and another person may dislike it. For me, I honestly just can't put anything out there. Like, there has to be some type of thought into it. And that's just me staying true to my craft. But, you do have like other businesses or other people producing content where they're just not putting any thought in, they're just giving it, it's like just raw.
It's like flow of consciousness almost.
Right. But people love that too. There's an audience for everything. And like, honestly, like just circling back to what I said, like, the marketing game is so fathom and, there's no limitations. And you always got to think outside the box because people are always going to think that something is either good or bad. So, you just got to be consistent with it, but like go along with your flow, I guess. What you think? So like you sometimes do like, you just put it out there, you just the raw.
Because I was listening to Gary Vee 8 times a day, so post 7 times on the story every day. No, and I agree with you said.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, like as far as content though, like as long as you're improving, and you're thinking outside the box, you're providing or producing something different all the time. People are going to enjoy that. And, just keep them like surprised, I guess.
So speaking of aesthetics, we are sitting inside the downtown Providence location of the store.
Yes.
Of Soulita.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Right? Physically actually in the middle. Why a physical location? Why not? I don't even want to say online only. They're like, their brands they're not even online. They're like Instagram only. Like that's like the only way you can purchase them.
Right.
Which I would say has its advantages. Or like, why not just do pop-ups? That way you don't have to worry about the overhead. You can also like maybe lean into like, hey, if you weren't there, now you can't get it. Like, and then you just do like limited drops. There's so many. So why? Yeah, we need a physical location. Why not just be online only?
I tell them. Every single thing that we've done with Soulita has been, none of it so far has really been outreach. It's all been opportunities given to us. So this wasn't exactly planned. Like having a storefront wasn't planned. It was the November, December of 2021, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2021, where we got this opportunity to have a pop-up in this space for 2 months. And that 2 months turned into 5 months as a pop-up. And I would say me and Evan kind of fell in love with the space. Our community, our local consumers were starting to get used to coming in. We were like, why not try? Especially if they're going to give us a deal, like something that's a number that that was like safe, that we could definitely make monthly, that why not do it? Why not try it out? And so we just signed the lease again for another year in this space in downtown Providence. So it wasn't a plan. It was something, opportunity that came to us, and we were like, let's do it. And we've just been renovating the space ever since, from the pop-up to the storefront, and then a big change in the space.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if we were just online, we would have been just a product brand.
Oh, and pop-ups. We did a lot of pop-ups before this.
So, for us, we're community based. Like, we want to stay within the community, and we want to provide some type of, place for them to kind of like come in to see like Soulita in its physical form. But yeah, like Lex said, we started off as a pop-up, and just reaching out or just tapping into the physical channel of things and seeing what we can do with that. Again, it's more so just thinking outside the box and taking those risks. So once we were able to manage the capacity of hosting a few pop-ups, at that moment, and providing that vision with downtown, they proposed, well, would you guys want to have a space downtown? For us, we were uncertain, and we knew that it'll be a risk. We didn't know what it'll take. We didn't know if we would be able to afford it, but thinking positive and being a firm believer of the brand, I think, we can go beyond the online presence and tapping more in the physical sense, where we're more so having conversations with our consumers. They're able to see the aesthetics, the vibe, the energy in the space,
the experience,
right, and interact with me and Lexus and our wonderful staff, and just kind of like coping on that new experience, and not just going online. Like, here you're able to come inside the store, either talk to us, we can guide you along the way, getting to know our consumers even more better, getting more personal. So that's something that we wanted to touch upon, having this space, but also being a space for the community, not just downtown, but for everyone here. Whether it's like hosting parties or events, kind of unifying our consumers along with downtown or just Providence or Rhode Island in general. So
I think this segues perfectly into two other questions I had. One, the first one being, this space, when I look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was a number of things in here are stuff you found,
right?
Which is amazing. Yep. to be able to have an eye and just be like, yep, that'll work in here, that'll work in here. But how important is it? And I think even the bigger brands in any industry right now are struggling with this as well. But how important is it that the way the product looks or presents itself, the online experience and the retail experience all match? Because I've gone to places where I'll see the Instagram posts and stuff, and then you get to the place and you're like, this does not look like anything, right. and which that really pisses me off, because I feel like I've been cheated, or the opposite. It looks one way, and then you go try the product, and you're like, this is amazing. Right. The presentation does not match how amazing the product is. So how important is it for this? Now I don't even want to say visual, but just consistency of experience across the board, from the marketing to the online shopping experience to the retail experience, and how everything is designed and curated, and how if you can tactically walk through how you pull that off, because I think there is a cohesion here,
right.
And I think even bigger brands struggle with that at times. So the fact that a smaller brand can pull that off, unless you don't want to give away the secret sauce, feel free, feel free to not answer. But right. I feel like that's so rare where it all comes together like that.
Right. I mean, of course, when you create a website or any type of platform, you want to kind of create a different narrative within another platform, so nothing's too familiar. You still want to surprise the consumer and so forth. But I just wanted, for me, and for us, or the brand, I just wanted a clean slate, like a clean, chic, environment, and nothing that's going to be too overwhelming. I'm a minimalist. So for me, things have to be structured in a certain type of way. Like Lex said, like the products have to be on the shelf, in a certain type of way. So I try to keep it.
I was going to say perfectionist, but yeah, sure.
I mean, close to perfection.
Perfection
That's
is
all.
not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's always keeping things clean. I try not to keep things too stagnant also. So sometimes you'll see the website changing up as well as the space. So
Too much. Oh my gosh, he's always trying something new, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm just playing.
So we just revamped the website like last week. So if you haven't gone on it, definitely check it out. And we also, at the same time, pretty much.
I was on there today. I noticed the difference.
You noticed the difference.
No, they changed it.
So what it was before, prior, I didn't create the design. It was through a third-party marketing team. And it was great, but I felt like there were some changes that needed to be, fixed or rearranged. So, from that, I just completely, revamped the website to where it's more of a magazine editorial feel, but still like a shopping place where you can find and kind of gather your skincare routines and, purchase your favorite products. And I try to kind of create that here. Like the space downtown is very therapeutic. And, we have this like lounge area here where, you can kind of like get a reset and you can kind of like just chill, relax. You can talk to us. And, I try to create the same vibe and the same energy within the website, along with the aesthetics of like the products. Nothing's too overwhelming. Nothing's too like, punching your face. So I try to keep things calm, but, I try to be flexible by changing things every once in a while. But to me, people see it as, I'm changing it every time. But for me, it's more or less innovating and improving the space.
Quick side question, then I want to get into some things about the beauty industry, which I guess will allow for some shit talking. I guess.
Let's do it.
But one quick question, and this just popped into my head because you had stated like, oh, it was an outside marketing company that did the design,
right,
etc. What advice would you have? Would either one of you have for somebody who like, okay, they started the way they just had to get things off the ground, but then they're kind of knowing they're limited. Like, hey, I'm not a designer. Like, what should they, if they like, I have to pay some money for this?
Right.
So there's some key factors or indicators people should be looking for when it comes to, hiring somebody to visually take a look at something like, hey, I need this to look better or make it look better.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, really find inspiration. Look at other brands, see what they're doing. And then just take that, but also like, set your own journey with that. And just figure out figure out everything that you need to fulfill your website or your brand or your aesthetic, whether it's the color palettes, colorways, the materials and the resources you want to gather up. But yeah, for me, I always look at other brands like Aesop, and see what they're doing. And then I take that and kind of like not take it completely, but like I'll just get like the idea and kind of make it my own. So I feel like studying and observing your favorite brands or brands who been where you were is always a good strategy on like kind of finding that marketing thing. Alongside, ask for help. I know a lot of people do ask me for marketing advice on how to kind of like improve or enhance their brand. And for me, I think I give away too much sauce, but it's I don't mind it. I do want to help other brands. Like they look up to Soulita a lot. And for me, and I do this off the record. Lex has her thing, but I do this off the record. Of just like guiding other brands along the way, with whether it's like marketing, like, hey, okay, so this is what needs to be done, or if it's too complex, too overwhelming, is psychologically, how to grasp your consumer and understanding humans and how they think, and like what's going to make them come to your shop. So I think, once you understand that playing field in terms of like marketing, you're able to like find a formula and a solution to the ways you want your brand to be or look.
Something I noticed on the Soulita website that struck out to me. It was like a little sentence. And it was something, I'm paraphrasing here. It was something about like, your products are not trying to cover anything up,
Right.
or they're not trying to eliminate things. Aging naturally and gracefully, and kind of just enhancing the things that are already there, or elevating the things and making you feel better.
Right.
Self-care, etc. And it got me thinking, I really want to ask this question because it's a perplexing one to me. When it comes to the beauty industry in general, I've noticed it's always about eliminating. It's eliminate fine lines and wrinkles. It's cover up blemishes. It's get rid of ...
Right.
It's always to hide, to conceal, to eliminate, to remove, to essentially destroy things. Why do you think that is? Why? What do you think? And maybe I'm wrong. It just, at least from the nationally known, I don't see, like, for example, I don't see Aesop doing that. But like from like nationally known brands or advertisements that I've seen for skincare, whether it's men or women, more so women, because that's like more of the ads I've seen.
Right.
It's always this idea of like, we need to remove, like the brand's trying to tell you need to remove or cover up something by our product. Why do you think that is?
We live in a digital society detrimental to self-esteem, and people make money off that. Soulita is different because we are embracing and normalizing things that these other brands are calling flaws. Like here, we're selling self-care practices. I was using these products and it was healing me in a way, mentally and emotionally, and making myself feel good about myself. And we really promote like inner beauty and natural beauty, instead of trying to cover things up. Being you and really diving deep. Like self-care truly is anything that you do to take care of yourself holistically, whether that's be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or physically. And that's what we try to push. I think that social media has a big reason why a lot of these beauty brands, like how they push it.
I agree, but to be fair, like I've seen those ads even before social. Like I've seen magazine ads where it's like cover up this, eliminate this. You know what I mean? So I wonder like how ingrained is it?
I think it's deep because I think let's talk about this nation, right? We are entrenched in European beauty standards, and talking about to be fair and lovely, to bleach your skin, and it's like there's promotion and people buying stuff to make them look like something else. And I hate it. I hate it so much. And that's like, here it's like, we do not do that. We don't push that. Like even when on one of our products, it says, this product is best for wise skin. And people ask me like, what does wise mean? And I'm not exactly talking about people who are like, as other brands call it, mature skin or anti-aging. Like Soulita will never make an anti-aging collection.
I was going to say anti-aging. It's like, you're aging, that's bad. Here's this part that will reverse this bad thing. Yeah. Like they're like the context of that is like aging is bad.
Right.
Here's this product to reverse that because that's bad if you age.
And that's there from a marketing.
And we are not there. We are just like, we're totally opposite. Like you can't go backwards. It's like, why not just be happy that you're alive? And there's to normalize and embrace how you're going through life and how your body is changing. Like that was really, really big for me because when the aneurysm happened and my body changed, I didn't have my hair. Personally, I normalized death because of how I looked. And I never want to be in that space or that mindset anymore. And having a mission vision of people just basking in their inner beauty and being okay with how their body is changing, like that's our vision for the world to be like that, not only with themselves, but with others, and then also the environment.
Right. And, honestly, just to add on to that, end of the day, beauty is within. Beauty is within the person more so than outside the exterior. So
they got to be rooted in self-love.
The skin's going to change. We can only promote healthy skin. But yeah, beauty is within.
Speaking of acceptance and editorials, because I think it was perfect time to ask this question. I was reading an editorial today on Mr. Porter because I always
I know Mr. Porter.
Yeah, no,
he used to get money off it.
Yeah, I was their ambassador.
Yeah, he's ambassador.
Their journal section, like I read that every day. Like I don't get the money to buy something on there every day because holy crap, some of those things.
They're killing it though.
There was a paperweight that was like $1,000. I'm like, I can. It looked like a rock. I'm like, I can just go find a rock. I don't know. I mean, I respect the hustle. If you can sell a rock for $1,000, you're doing something right in life. But anyway, I was reading the journal section today, and there was an entire piece on Carl Weathers from the original Rocky movies, and this guy was talking about how he was like the whole editorial was hilarious, but he was also like angry, like Carl Weathers' skin looks amazing in that movie. Like Apollo Creed's skin looks amazing, and like even when he's bruised, his skin looks. He's like, and I can't find any like clues as to what his skincare routine was. And it was like at the end, like they were like, here's some skincare products, but it was just hilarious. Like this is an entire article, an entire piece on the hunt that will and the guy even admitted the guy who wrote the article was like, I'm never gonna find this unless I interview Carl Weathers. But like he's like, he looks amazing now. And it's like he was theorizing like, like he probably used this cologne back in the day because it was the 70s, like. But it was a whole piece on just the skincare routine of Carl Weathers. And he's like, and unfortunately, unlike his female counterparts that get asked this question all the time, he never gets asked this question. So we're never going to know. I don't think that piece, that editorial, would have existed even in like a GQ magazine, which you think it would have, like back in the 70s of when that movie was on top and he was a star. I don't think they would have even asked that question. I say all that as a pretense to, I feel like skincare for guys and skincare routines for guys and the idea of self-care and self-love for guys is a recently accepted thing. I don't think it was so foreign to me only because my dad was a barber for so long. So like hygiene and looking at like that's what he worked in. So like it made sense for him to tell me, his son, like, okay, this is how these kind of lotions work, and this is how like talcum powder works, blah blah blah. Because it was very utilitarian. But and I'm thankful for it that he taught me like some of those things. But for a lot of guys, it was, I forgot who did a comedy routine about it. I'm blanking on the comedian, but he's like the comedy routine is like, do guys like think that if they start using lotion, like a bunch of like dicks are gonna come flying out of like the bottle or some shit?
Oh my god!
Like he's like, I don't get this weird like homophobic like kind of I'm butchering the bit, but he was just like, I don't get why like these like dudes out there think like, I don't know, like skincare is like this feminine thing. He's like, you want your face to look good. Like do you like getting laid? Your face should probably look good then. Regardless of who you're trying to get laid from. But like the thing he was like, well, like, what do you think? Like everybody like, and we're laughing about it. And it's ridiculous. But there was a time where it seems like, or like you're a dude, you're a straight guy into skincare. It was like, oh, like, you gay or bad. And it's stupid.
Right. It is.
And what do you think happened though that it's now like more of an accepted thing? Where again, we were saying like that article would not have existed in GQ in the 70s at the height of the movie, but it exists now, and we're like, oh, that makes sense. Like I want to know what his skincare routine is.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like, just us men, we're starting. Well, honestly, I think in today's world, I think everyone's becoming their own individual and just not caring what other people think in terms of like, doing something like doing a facial and whatnot. I think we all want to look good. I think in today's times, we care more about our physical appearance. And in order to kind of like, look good, we have to do these things, like do facials, get our manicures and pedicures. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just like just breaking that stereotype. And honestly, like, yes, like skincare has been in the front row, or in the forefront for like a lot of women. So yeah, I get it in the past where even for me, like if I was a dude in the 90s, I'm a 90s baby, but in the 90s, if I was to do like a skincare routine, yeah, I might be considered like, somebody who,
You get like, oh, like that guy's effeminate,
Right,
or like,
like,
or
right.
I think metrosexual
You're not
was the
supposed-
term for a
right,
while, which was
right.
also ridiculous. I'm
Right.
like, what the
It's
hell does
like-
that mean?
It's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to like look gritty and you're supposed to smell like musk.
You're supposed to use one bar of soap for
Right?
everything.
Right.
For
One
everything.
towel and that's
I hate
it.
it.
Yeah, one towel, one bar of soap,
Right.
no lotion.
Right.
How dare you?
But it's like, for me, I grew up, with a lot of acne. So
I
yeah.
think there's a Bill Burr
Huh?
bit about how like he met his, I guess now wife, but then it was
Right.
his girlfriend, and like he was like, I'm white, I never understood what ashy meant, and then his girlfriend explained it to him, and he's like, oh wait, that's why. I thought it was my
Right.
towel, and like that's why I itched in the winter. I just wasn't using any lotion, and he was just like, "Yeah, I feel like us." He's like, "I feel like all the white guys, like we didn't get the lotion seminar.
Right.
Like somebody should have told us." Like,
Oh my god.
and the reason why it's hilarious is
Right.
just like, no, like I know like there are people I've known like within the past 10 years that like the idea of like putting lotion on their skin was like a
Right.
foreign concept. I'm like, why?
Yo, that's honestly that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like
That's-
that seems more crazy. And like we're talking about this now, but like again, before it was just like, no, you're a dude, like you don't use lotion. What the
Right.
hell's wrong with you?
right.
Nah, I've also been hearing some people don't use like washcloths like for their body, and there was a comic and he was like, yeah, that's for poor people to be washing with a washcloth.
Yeah.
Do you use washcloth? Oh,
Yeah,
yo,
I,
he's
use
gonna
a, I
say,
use a loofah.
oh, okay, no, that works. That works. Okay, but there's people saying they don't use lotion
Right.
and they don't use a washcloth.
I want to switch over to there's like this weird like pod looking device that like you press, like it's shower safe because how else would you use it? But like it's supposed to be, you hit a button and it's got like its own battery, and like when it dies you just buy another one, but like it vibrates to a point where like this started really weird. I just
Right.
realized how weird that sounded. But like it's got like a side that's like microabrade, so it like actually like helps like gently
Right.
take off the dead skin layers.
But
I'm
so
like, I
does your
wanna move
loofah.
to-
But
yeah.
so does your loofah.
It just looks cooler, and I'm just like, it is a gadget because I'm a tech weirdo and I like nerdy and I'm like gadgets and
Right.
things. I don't know. I want my bathroom to feel like I'm in the 21st century rather
Yeah.
than
I hear that.
Yeah.
Listen, I hear
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, I mean, like for me, like, just not growing up with a father, I didn't know what a men skincare routine, like I didn't really see that. I only see my mom do like her skincare routines, and when I put on TV, when I flick the TV, all I seen was women in skincare commercials.
Yeah,
And-
you never saw
right.
like
Right,
even men's skincare lines.
right.
Which I'm now wondering, do you, hey, beauty brands, do you not like money?
Exactly.
Like, even men's skincare lines is a new concept, and I think even newer concept is makeup for men. Like, I know Tom Ford launched like a makeup line for men, and that was like a big disruption. And I'm like
Right.
thinking about, I'm like, how the hell did this shit not exist before? Like, yeah, guys need to cover up blemishes too at
Right.
times and want to look good. Like, why don't
Exactly.
they have makeup? It's like also guys like, they should probably have good like again, like why
Right.
is this new? Like the fact that it's new is
Right.
mind blowing.
Right. And we're trying to exploit, that also, where it's just like, men can use or men can use skincare in general. So we're also, newly promoting men on our website and also like on our socials, to kind of like, break that tradition. Like, it's not just only for women, or it's not catering only. We're not catering only for women or to women. It's also for guys too. Like, one of my favorite products, and I use it every morning, is the rose oil. Like, that's part of my skincare routine.
I'm about to get some because it's one of the few products I can get that
like,
won't.
right?
Not a knock on you guys. I have the nut allergy, so like it's one of the few products that won't kill me.
But no, it's definitely like an energy booster and a skin booster. Like, it definitely glows my skin every morning. But if you would ask me like a few years ago, like, rose oil, what is that? Is that for like girls? That's my number one thought. Like, is it for girls? Can I use it?
Honestly, like right now, we've really been pushing to destigmatize men not having like self-care or like skincare, and that they can do self-care. And I was doing some research, and it said that some men feel like self-care, they don't want to do it because it'll take themselves time away from productivity or like work, things that how society sees how masculinity should be.
You gotta hustle, man. It's hustle culture.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta wake up at 4, and then you gotta pray to the sun, and then you gotta like work
Yeah.
out for 8 hours, and then that's when you start your day.
Eat breakfast, go work out again.
Go to sleep for 3 hours in a cryogenic frozen chamber. You can't afford one because
Right.
you're a loser in life. You need to work harder.
Don't cry and all this.
Ever. Or you die.
Pick up some rocks.
Yeah, it means throw them.
Throw.
Throw them at the guy. The guy putting
Right.
lotion on him, so throw at that guy. The guy's
Right.
weak.
Oh my gosh. And that is so detrimental to society. To men. It's just like, it's sad. It's sad what y'all have to go through.
I not want you to make a comical ad where it's just like two really buff dudes, but just kind of like taking all those tropes and then finally just somebody coming from like off camera and be like, "The fuck is wrong with you two?" Like, it's like, here, just here, take this rose oil, put it on your face. You're gonna feel a little better. Calm the fuck down a little bit. Maybe
Right.
here's a blunt. I don't know what to tell you. You are way too
That's so
intense right
funny.
now. Like, cut back on the coffee a little bit. Like, it's just coming from me, that would be an insane statement since I drink like 8 cups a day. But
I just got into like dirty chai, so I'm like slowly getting into like coffee.
Oh
all
my
right, we have much
gosh.
to discuss after the show. Flip side of that question, what is your opinions on the pink tax? I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
Yeah, like when it comes to like tampons and stuff. No.
I think we're thinking of the same thing. Mine was going more in the direction of like there'll be a men's product. Like, so what I mean by
I'm
flip
sorry.
side, there's
I
like
know
a
you're
men
talking about,
like
razors.
yeah, like a men's
Power
razor,
razors.
and then like they'll make it pink and say it's the women's
It's more
version. It's the
expensive.
same goddamn
Right.
thing, and they're like,
I
we're gonna
hate it.
charge $3 more, and we put it in like the feminine care aisle because we're like great. So like, okay, that's even more perplexing. So
Well, I get
you
it.
don't want to take a
know?
thing that's
Yeah.
associated with females and make gobs of money
Right.
like for men, but you have no problem. But like the reverse makes sense for these big
Right.
companies. Like, let's take a men's product or a men's type of thing, and let's just completely overcharge on that.
No, it's like you have to think about who is really buying the stuff in the like the beauty and health products. Like what 80% is like women really like using all their money to buy these products. So like I see why. I mean, I don't. They shouldn't, but I think it's wild. I've always thought that, and even I feel like the men's razors are better quality. I've been buying like the Harry's or whatever it is for years now since it like started once it got into Walmart.
Right.
Not to interrupt, but ladies, pro tip: if you do want to close shave, go safety razor.
Yeah,
Go safety razor, and because the blades are dumb cheap. I haven't shaved in a couple days, so I know you both look at me.
You
Like,
look
this guy,
good.
like this guy
Your brain
shaves.
looks-
Like this guy
your brain
shaves.
looks nice.
I
You
do.
look
I
nice.
do shave. But I'm just real like ladies. If you're like I'm tired of paying for the cartridge and all that shit, get a good safety razor, and you get a pack of 100 blades for like $10. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Right.
Just some free game. Just
Yeah, I mean,
for everybody out there.
But I think
Oh, I hate
I
it.
think from like a business standpoint, like of course the demand, is there for like women buying, for instance, like a razor. But they also invest more, I feel like, as opposed to like men. Well, I'll speak for myself. I don't invest too much into like those things. Like I'll buy a razor, but like I use it once.
No, but that doesn't mean it should be charged more.
No, it shouldn't. But just to balance it out from a business standpoint.
I
No,
wonder,
balance.
do you think that's like, and this is something I've noticed with I'm not saying all guys all the time, but it's something I think I noticed, not to get into a whole gender differences discussion, but one thing I've noticed with guys is like, if they find something they like and works, they'll stick with it
Right.
until that company stops making that product.
Exactly.
Like, and like clothes, like I'm guilty of it. Like I found Reigning Champ, like their sweaters, and like I have the Reigning Champ hoodie over there. It looked good on me. I'm like, I now need one in every color, and that is my hoodie and my sweater till the day I freaking die, or until they stop making them, or if they change them up a little bit and they don't fit as well, fine. Do you think that that has something to do with it too, where it's like guys, when they find it, like almost like if you're the one, like if you're the brand that gets them hooked in and it works for them, like they're not switching. And whereas I'm, I don't want to say like women switch brands more, but I feel like there's more of like a willingness to try other brands, even if they like have the brand they love. Just like, yeah, maybe I should give this a shot. Where I feel like I wonder, do you think that comes into play at all? Like I feel like guys are like less willing to, because it's like, why should I? Like this thing has worked.
If it works, it works. Like we know people who've been buying the beard oil, and they've just been coming back and just staying loyal to the beard oil. Where I would ask a woman.
Yeah, interesting sub question. That like, have you noticed that with the guy customers, it's more like they just like, it's like, hey, it's my monthly beard oil trip because I know because it works. I need to get it.
Right, and it works. But like, for instance, like, of course not all, but like, I had a woman come in and she had like at least 5 different rose oils, including ours. But I understand like the whole idea of like having the option and seeing what works best.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would probably know more about that side of things.
To be honest, what I see when it comes to like the woman population, we hoard skincare products. I mean, I try not to do that, but we often buy a bunch, even if you already have another one, just to see which one is best. And then maybe we'll keep getting it. Everybody's different, but I do see when it comes to like women, they hoard a lot of, I don't want to say they hoard, but they just buy a lot of different products, especially when it comes to makeup too. Like, I'm going to need it in these colors too, even if they just have a bunch.
Also, I feel like they also just want the new best thing.
Oh, yeah. That too.
Like,
that
for
too.
instance, if like, if they buy something high end, like, let's say Glossier, but then Gucci comes out with another line, they're easy to get up and purchase that. And if something new comes out,
and I feel like if it's dudes, it's the exact opposite. They're like, I don't give a shit about this new thing. I don't care what brand it is. Like, unless like you give me a free sample or like you can prove to me that it's somehow better, I am sticking with, even if it may be an inferior product. But like, I don't even care to try it out. Like, I know what works. That's it.
Exactly.
It's an interesting like it is like an interesting like consumer psychology.
Right.
Speaking of that, we've been using the term throughout this episode, self-care.
Right.
What are your thoughts on, because I'm seeing, I'm not even in this space and I'm seeing it, so I can only imagine what it's like for the both of you. Like self-care and the idea of self-care is now being, and again, one guy's opinion, like this trendy buzzword.
Right.
Where it's like it being applied to things. Like I think there's I could be imagining this. I'm pretty sure there was like a fast food commercial where they're like fast food was self-care. I'm like, how the
what?
Yeah, like we're like, all right, we're jumping the shark at that like point. Like really fast food.
Hey.
Fast freaking food is self-care now.
Perspective.
Like yeah, like Big Mac, self-care. Right. I'm like, it wasn't McDonald's by the way, but like I'm pretty sure it was a fast food company. So what are your thoughts on that? Of like, there's like actual self-care and products that make sense with it, and brands that really embrace it, and it's part of their DNA, versus it's a trendy buzzword that like it seems like every brand and influencer just wants to hop on and like, oh, is a trendy thing. All right. Like I'm wondering if there's like a marketing department to like, all right, how do we get on this self-care trend? How do we make our products a self-care product? You know?
Well, I mean, I can say for me, I like taking the term self-care out of the beauty industry. And that being said, it's more so, you know, taking that time, like getting into the true essence of what self-care truly means. And, you know, of course, this is like my own philosophy, but it's really, you know, making time for yourself, putting your name in your own schedule, you know, and pretty much dedicating and being committed to your own to your own self, but also being in sync with your own space, whether that's spiritually, mentally, you know, in the confinement of your own home. That right there is what self-care means to me. And, you know, we want to kind of like, you know, be an advocate for that by providing like, you know, some of our products, which allows you to do that. Pretty much, you know, allowing the self-care practices of taking that time for yourself. And whether it's like 5 minutes, you know, getting that reset, rejuvenating yourself in that type of way. Internally, also in the exterior side of things as well. But that's my take on it, though. In a nutshell.
As long as we're pushing our definition of self-care, I don't mind if people are like diluting self-care depending on whatever, even if it's something that's ridiculous when it comes to what their self-care is. I feel like as long as it's something that you're doing something that's taking care of you holistically, like I said earlier, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, then I won't even judge it. Like if it's making you feel better, if it's making you more self-aware, if it's making you feel good about yourself, I'm for it. I mean, if I think I would laugh if it says fast food is self-care, I would laugh, but I wouldn't think about it too much. Me personally.
Yeah, I mean, self-care should bring happiness.
Yeah.
So,
and like, I truly believe that self-care is one of the utmost important thing in life to really have happiness, content, well-being, like for a whole lifetime. Like, you know, back to my story, like learning about yourself inside out and taking care of yourself because nobody else is going to do it for you. So if you can actually put yourself on your schedule and really dedicate time to yourself, then I don't care what it is, do it. Sometimes when I do speaking events, I tell a woman, or just if I'm a friend of mom's, I'm like, there's a reason why when you're in the airplane and they tell you if the air mask, right? That's what it is, like an air mask.
Yeah, if the oxygen
The
mask comes down.
oxygen mask comes down. There's a reason why they say to put it on yourself
Before you help others.
before others, because if you're not good, then nobody else, you can't help anybody else. And I feel like as women, we have that focus of we have to take care of everything, especially when it comes to my background. Like you have to make sure that everybody is good. Your partner, your children, your whole family. Like a lot of weight gets on the woman to nurture. So I try to push that self-care is so important because we do a lot.
Couple of tactical product related questions. One being, whenever you do come out with a product, what are the metrics that, besides like, hey, it's sold, what are the metrics or guidelines of like, yeah, this product is working, we need to push it more or come up with different, I want to say flavors because it doesn't make any sense, but different variations of it, or like, hey, this product is not working, we need to maybe go back to formula, or like we think it's working and then the market, you know, the customers say different.
I would say you asked what are the different Like, what do we?
Like what is your gauge of like this product's working and it's really doing well versus a product like versus like, hey, it's not doing like what is besides like, hey, we sold X amount. Are there any other gauges or metrics that you look at like, hey, this product is doing well, or like we need to maybe retool it a little bit?
I would say one of the main things is like the consumer, like what they're actually buying and what they're buying again. And I would say there's definitely one of the number one things. And then also when we're testing it out, what people like, because we usually drop collections of things where it's not just like one product. And we might be, three or like three products and then different variations of it. So we check it when it comes to like testing, and then also like when we're launching and how many people are actually buying it and hearing our customers, our consumers are our stakeholders. So their opinion matters to us. And when we hear something, if we have the means to change it or to update it, we do it.
Right. So like we pretty much, we seek out like their feedback. Like for instance, like with the rose oil, they want it to be 4 ounce. Or they always want like a jar bigger. So I think the best, strategy is always hearing either their testimonies or just getting their feedback on, what the consumer wants and, what are their demands, and seeing if we can realistically fulfill that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, for us, we look at our top 5 products and see what's working, and then what can we do differently that can kind of like provide the same solution, but how can we kind of like diversify it? So with like the rose water, like how can we do something that is something like similar, but just a different flavor, like you said. And again, this is going with like consumers' feedbacks and kind of like what they want,
the numbers,
and what they ask for, and like of course the numbers. But we try to kind of like promote each product individually and in this unique way. But yeah, so right now we do have a few products that we're cooking up.
We can talk about
this year. That we can talk about it. And some of it is the products that we were going to make that we kind of like from the idea last year, but also some of the products were demands from consumers.
You legit answered my next question is how do you come up with new products? So there you go.
Right.
Like our focus is skin. A lot of people are like, hey, you gonna do anything with hair? We only wanna focus on, when it comes to hair, just the beard. We really want a full-fleshed skincare line. So that means cleansers, that means moisturizers, more serums, and then before more serums, more rose waters type toners, facial toners. And I do want to dive inside body wash. And the beard line should have a beard like shampoo, conditioner. And I'm going to make sure for the new lines, no sweet almond oil or shea butter.
Yeah, just no nut oil, whatever. It's like, because like I remember being here, I'm like, I want to buy it. I'm like, I can't buy any of this. Okay. All right. And
to be honest,
and good night, everybody.
Listen, to be completely honest, we've had enough people that say that they're sensitive to it that I might update some of the formulations. Some I will, keep the same. We've never really had to change anything, but I think I will start taking some. I would just use a different butter or a different, like, not use sweet almond oil.
Right. I mean, if we can find a good replacement, then that can happen.
Yeah. Oh, but I can say the next thing we will drop is the lip balms and like a lip exfoliator. Right. We're in testing of that right now.
Yeah, she said it, so we have to dish it out now.
Oh, well, we're going to do it. We already have like just about everything. We just have to continue testing it because we're trying to figure out if we do want some tinted ones. And we already have. Me and Evan, we're still figuring out what scents we want. So,
speaking of when you release new products, correct me if I'm wrong, you you interweave personal stories or personal anecdotes into the
We
product
do.
names.
How you know? Nah, you know. Where'd you learn that?
Research. Anyway,
I can't. We do.
Providence Nardwar.
It's the internet.
Making it happen. How important is that for you as far as like the brand storytelling? And was it just more of a fun idea, or did you find that it helps create a connection with the consumer, especially if whatever that name is referencing, that person knows that thing as well? Because I think that's like a really interesting way to name and label products, is like from personal stories or personal anecdotes.
Honestly, like it represents our identity, and it shows like our pride, our dedication, traditions in our personal lives, our family's life, and it's very important to us to kind of put a little sprinkle into like who we are, like our identity. Like for instance, our soap line, the 4 names of our soaps, all of the names are related to cities where our families are from. So like my Puerto Rican side and my Black side, like 2 of the bars are related to my side, and for Evan, it's Evan being Haitian and Cape Verdean.
Yes, K-Bird.
Cape Verde. My bad. But just something like that, and you're seeing the names and like some of the people who are from those places, their family are from those places, they recognize that, and they like that, and it feels it taps into a way, it taps into to different people in our community where it's like, oh, like it's a representation of themselves, and I think that's very important.
Helps establish a connection to the brand.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
And there's so much significance within the name Soulita alone. Just going back to Lexus on the origin, to where it is now and to where it's leading to in the future.
So one question I have, because and I think this is a good segue into it, this idea of community. And one thing I noticed and one thing I read up on is that you've done events where at these events that you're holding, you have people who are potential competitors to you presenting at events you're holding.
Yeah.
Which I applaud you for that. And it's also an interesting question because like other businesses, like, well, okay, we don't want to like put them and their kids out on the street, but also we want to dominate. Like we want to be successful, and I get it, like, capitalism, whatnot, you want to, quote unquote, crush the competition. Whereas you're like, hey, let's have an event and let's invite the competition over. And whether it's a direct competitor or not, it's one thing, but that's really interesting. And so did that, like, were you just doing these events and then it crossed me like, oh, we have potential competitors here? Or was there an intent behind that? Or was it just more a coincidence? Or was it more like, we just value community so much?
I mean, we just value it a lot. And for me, and as a brand, and the tone I kind of like, set aside, I set within the brand is, I don't look at anyone as competition, respectfully.
Yeah,
and,
respectfully, that's how we see it.
And most of the businesses, like, they're friends of Soulita. And of course, we want every brand, whether it's a beauty brand or a skincare line, like we would want them to grow as much as we want ourselves to grow. But aside from that, like Soulita, and I made sure this is in its own lane. So for me, and to circle back again to the previous conversation, to the previous question, where I'm not looking at these brands as competition. Like the brands that I'm looking at are these like New York brands, like Aesop and so forth. But we're in our own lane right now. We're focused on Soulita. And, I try not to take it into a competitive route because that will just take the fun out of having a business if we're too focused on what other brands are doing and not really like prioritizing our task and completing our objectives throughout the day. So
I'd say
Yeah.
there's like this little saying that went around with like a trending audio where it's like a woman's voice, and she's like, "Girl, you cannot compete with me because I want to see you win too." And it's kind of the same with that for us with Soulita. Is even if they're selling the same product as us, same type of product, it's like they can come to us for mentorship to ask advice like, oh, how did you make your body butter so creamy? Like, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. There's nothing wrong with sharing education like that. And I think it's a form of mentorship. And for our community or anybody who gets in touch with us, we are not, what's it called? Like gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no. And like, I can teach you exactly how to make something. And like, I could give you all the ingredients of how I can give you all the ingredients of our products, but it's not the same formulation. And also, there's enough money out there for everybody. There's an abundance, and we're not selfish.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the community of Providence, whether it's from a creative or business standpoint? And what do you think can be changed or improved?
Evan, I think you're good for that.
I mean, you may hate it or love it.
No, and that's why I respect what he's about to say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a community here. I feel like, there are some parts, little to none, that are supportive. But, all in all, you still got to prove yourself, to be really involved in that community here. Like Soulita, we are still trying to like find our main hub community. And it's looking like it's more so downtown because that's where we're setting up shop all the time.
I mean, you did have the Garden City location for a little bit.
Yeah,
We
it was
did.
beautiful.
Which was nice because we also were able to, reshape our community and extend it with the city of Cranston, and within the hopes of them coming here as well, to Providence, and
And they have.
and Providence is our like anchor. This is where we're having Soulita's home. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a need of a more support. I feel like, people aren't really supporting enough.
More support from customers, businesses supporting each other, or like governmental like local government support, or is it all three?
I say it's all the above.
Okay.
Yeah, I say it's all the above. Whether it's like businesses supporting other businesses, and there are, and I try to propose this as well. There are unique ways where businesses can support other businesses, and one way that I proposed was the whole getting into the collaborative culture. Having two businesses come together, creating something to kind of unify both audiences, and it'll definitely benefit and boost the outcome or the result that they set for themselves. But I feel like there's no unity within like a lot of these businesses. There are gaps, and I'm trying to change the ecosystem, and we're both trying to change the ecosystem within Providence when it comes to like small businesses and getting support of the big businesses and the government and so forth. It's just taking longer than expected. But we're in the hopes of, and we're being positive that there will be a turning point, success in kind of like getting more and more support throughout time. But for now, I feel like it's very stagnant. I feel like there's not enough. But I feel like we have been getting support. The support that we've been getting has been good to us, especially when we're taking the risk. Just being, just having or retrieving the support from, downtown, Cornish, shout out to Joanna and Buff, even like shout out to Garden
Abby.
City, and shout out to Abby. So like, but also, and shout out to Arnell too, like
And
just
Arnell.
getting that support, we're
Pepito Foundation.
we're definitely like, we're happy and we're appreciative of the support that we've been getting. But I feel like there's a lot more that's in the shadows that's not really being put in the forefront for businesses like us to kind of like take advantage and for us to grow.
Do you think that that's like that's a very interesting statement? So, and I'm not trying to harp on it, but
Right.
it just leads to a question in my mind of, do you think that hidden in the shadows is more of it happens to be that way due to circumstance, or you think that there are, I guess, gatekeepers intentionally keeping it hidden?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I'm not like I don't know too much of what happens behind the scenes. I can only go based off.
I think that's a problem for everyone.
Right. So like I can only, and I have no connections like what goes on. But yeah, I feel like, they are gatekeeping a lot for selected businesses that are either not here yet or, businesses that are already established and that's going to like, generate more income for them.
Which, not surprising considering Providence's business history of nepotism and
Right.
cronyism. And it's literally ingrained into the history of the city.
Right. And, for me, this is my, third year back in Rhode Island. After like numerous of years in the city. So like I'm still trying to figure things out here and there. Like I'm still, slowly but surely, building my network so I can find out like more insights and, catching the scope of like what's really going on and what's preventing them from really financially supporting small businesses. But, in the meantime, I always say, and I tell other people too, like you just got to grind harder and, just don't wait on it. Just keep going.
We're in the final three questions, and this one being, what are some of the, is there anything that either one of you wished people knew? I think it's perfect as far as what goes on behind the scenes. Is there anything that either one of you wish people knew about the back end or the work that goes on the back end of this business that maybe they don't realize?
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
Sure. Do either one of you have things that you wish the general public knew about, like the work and effort or the behind the scenes work and effort that go into the business that maybe they just don't realize?
With the business, just in general, just like,
Yeah.
why you gotta laugh?
Nothing. I was prepared for this question. I guess. I don't know.
Is it more like in general, just like with us?
Either way, it's
Yeah.
more like, are there things that you put effort or work into, or are there misconceptions of like what goes into this that you wish people like realize, like, nah, it doesn't work like that, or like, no, this is what really happens behind the scenes, or this is really how this works?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to answer it like in the best way. Well, the first thing that I was thinking about, I know I could answer this like so well, but one of the things is, I have actually a couple things, but there's a whole thing with entrepreneur and like solo entrepreneur, and just because it's two of us, like me and Evan, I've had people like solo entrepreneurs saying like, oh, but you have a team, oh, you have Evan. And it's like, we still work really hard just as someone just doing it by themselves. And like, just because you have a team doesn't mean it gets any easier. I mean, it does at a point where it's like a big team and you're actually paying people to do a bunch of things. But
it's
like,
also more things. It's the stress of handing over something to somebody.
Yes.
And it's also, you have to now
Right.
manage them, whereas before you only had to manage yourself. And now it's
Right.
like you have to
Exactly.
pick up a whole new skill.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's
exactly.
it is a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And another thing, it's like, I want to say that, I don't know if this answers like perfectly, but a lot of people who maybe want to be an entrepreneur or like start a business, one of the main things that they're scared of is like failure. And what I try to tell people, it's like having failures, it's a good thing as long as you don't give up. here at Soulita, any type of failures, we see it as feedback. And the reason why Soulita is successful as it is right now is because we always constantly upgrade and just upgrade and like do new things, and we're just not giving up. And I wish the people who want to get into this type of work to, if there's a boss inside of you, then you shouldn't have a boss. Like, you should be able to do something that you really want to do and be happy about it, and just constantly just working hard on it. I hope that kind of fits.
I think the answer that's the most honest is the quote unquote perfect answer, which there really is no perfect answer. So no, that fits the bill and then some.
Yeah. I mean, aside from, the hard work that we both put in, yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's the level of risk that we've taken, just to get to where we are. And whether it's unprepared or just a random act of a decision that we have to make, that's gonna like really elevate, or it can make or break us.
Yeah. Just because.
But also, like on the flip side, like we're also like Soulita as a brand. Yes, we are where we are, but we're still growing. Like as business partners, we're still learning, and we're still trying to figure things out, just like everyone else. It's just, we may just be, scaling things a little bigger, but yeah, I mean, it's the amount of strategies that take into place when making a decision, like being in Garden City, or just having a stockist, being at Plant City. Yeah. It's like, it's a lot of risk that we had to take, and we had to like really like sweat it out and, get through it. But also a personal thing I would like people to know.
I knew you was gonna say something. I knew it. I could hear it. I could see it in your mouth.
Like for me, like as Lex, she puts herself on the forefront. I really don't. But like,
what are you about to say?
For me, a lot of people don't know what I do.
Oh, okay.
In terms of like my role in Soulita, because I'm just like more so behind the scenes, and like pretty much like my work is kind of like what you see sometimes. So it speaks for itself, whether it's the visuals or the marketing or like the aesthetics. Like for me, that's my face. So
I know, honestly, I want to talk on this too.
So for me, it's just like, and I don't mind that.
Yes, you do.
But it's more so people just appreciating and just knowing that like, yeah, this is like my work. I don't care for the limelight.
You do.
I care about the appreciation of it, and just acknowledging that it came from me. That's all.
That's like, is it weird? I want like a new product name called "Acknowledge My Face" or "That's My Face."
Right.
It's like
also if you guys release that, everyone's gonna know where it came from. Right. It came from the show.
Exactly.
It's like saying I have no ego, but like I do.
I have no ego, but I'm awesome.
Right.
Exactly. No, it's like but I do want to talk on that too. I think people do acknowledge like what you do, and they know that you take like all the photos of Soulita, and I want you to be. You know what it is, honestly. What it is a lot of these articles, these reporters, they push whatever they think the title would be like easier for people to like start reading the article. So they're just gonna push the story, my health story, so hard. And it's not good that sometimes, well, actually, honestly, most of the time, they give out what Evan actually does and where he came from, and how me and Evan truly built this from the bottom up. Just because it came from my head doesn't mean that this is more mine. Like, this is legit him and me.
And the health story was one. That's why I started with it, but I didn't finish with it, because it's part. It's part of the story. Yeah. It's the prologue.
Right.
It's the jumping off point, but it's not the whole. It's not the whole thing. It's the first couple. It's Act 1 of the 3-act play that is Soulita.
Yeah,
it is.
And actually, like, and I express this to Lexus too. where it's like they're so, and not to, lose sight of Lexus's, story, but it's like they lose focus on the future of Soulita. Like,
Yeah.
we don't get to talk about, the future of Soulita because it's so fixated on the past.
Oh my God. That was literally going to be my next question. That was literally going to be my next question.
Oh, wow.
What does the future hold for Soulita? And like, whether it's immediate or whether it's more, where do you want to see it? However you want to answer that question, go for it. But what does the future hold? Or what do you want the future to hold for Soulita?
To be completely honest.
I'm getting better at it.
To be completely honest, like I want a full skincare line. Like I want the cleansers. I want to expand to, more bath stuff. And I want Soulita. I want to be doing pop-ups in different major cities. And like our goal, like when it comes personal goal with Soulita for Evan, for him to get back to where his heart is and where his home is, and that's New York. So I want pop-ups in New York. I want it in LA, different major cities, and probably, either like short lease or open up another store. Like we do want, we are very particular on who has our products. We say no more than yes for many, many, many reasons. But I would say, and Evan will probably say the same too, that we definitely want to keep our products. And if they want our products, they have to come to us. I personally would love an opportunity where it's like a big retail partner, like a big contract, whether that's tri-state area for Whole Foods or maybe Target or places where we see Soulita products best. Like we wouldn't want to be in Walmart. We wouldn't want to be in, could you see us in CVS?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I can see it,
like,
but I wouldn't want it in CVS.
Yeah. Like we wanted certain spots. I personally would like that. I want people to see Soulita as a self-care practices and using these natural products. I want people to know. I also want people to know the origin story, because if I can do it with less than nothing, I hope that it inspires other people to do it for themselves. And I see the behind story to truly changing people's life. Like they can do it too. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, like where I want Soulita to be in the future is, just forever growing, never being stagnant.
Never.
And in terms of like, extending our product line, but and like said, just tapping into different states and growing the brand and growing our audience, and throwing events, creating more of a lifestyle within the brand, as opposed to just being products on the shelves, but also forever thinking outside of the box, whether it's through installations, concepts, or just like architecture, wherever we kind of like set up shop. I want it to always be uniquely different, but create the same narrative of being holistic, therapeutic. And, I want Soulita to be a brand where other brands look up to and can always, go to in terms of, seeking any assistance or advice with me and Lex.
You know what I want to?
And, to grow a team.
Yeah. I want a conference, like a self-care conference,
right.
Like a big one.
Right. And, along with that, we want a bigger warehouse. We want our HQ.
Yeah.
We need, and, these things are essential for us to give us that room or that elbow space to grow.
What advice would either of you give to either your younger selves from a couple of years ago or to the creatives and entrepreneurs that are trying to start their own thing? What advice would you give?
What I will give to my younger self, and I felt like I just answered this like last week. Honestly, just listen to other people's ideas, and don't be so stuck and fixated on your own thoughts. And be mindful and be open-minded to other ideas, because that's only going to help, But what I will spread out for the creatives or, entrepreneurs, whether you're trying to become one or currently are one, I say we're all in this game of life. We all get the same 24 hours. You just got to grind harder and, turn those L's into lessons. And, just keep going. You can't really give up. That's never really an option, especially when, the system was kind of set up that way. So, really don't explore your talents, know yourself, understand yourself, and just really put your eyes on the prize. Don't lose sight on, or don't get distracted by the foolishness in this world, because this world is chaotic, and, it'll eat you alive if you're not focused.
All I can think of is that De La Soul song, Stakes is High. Life
true.
can't get all up in your eyes, baby.
It's
You
true.
better work it out.
Because honestly, like, it's true. Like, the hustle never ends. The hustle never ends in this game of life, and there's always a new chapter, and we're never prepared for it. So you got to be up for taking that risk and really just continue on winning.
I guess for me, definitely when it comes to like entrepreneurs, I always try to push, like, if I did it, then I know for a fact that you can too. And as long as you have perseverance and you fall forward instead of fall back, fall forward so you can see exactly where you're landing, and constantly just see failures add feedback and keep updating and growing, because there's no reason why by putting the planting the seeds and watering it, there's no reason why you wouldn't have a bloom. When it comes to like talking to my my old self, my younger self will be more like, I would say, you don't do things for money because you think the money is going to bring stability. Like, truly love yourself, figure out who you are, spend more time with yourself instead of with everybody else. Like, I wish I spent more time with self-love. I feel like, I know this is totally different, but I feel like I was focusing so much on maybe what social media wanted, or like guys, or like a premature wife to some people, instead of actually spending the time to find out what I really liked and learning more. And I would just tell myself to, like, it's okay. Like, just love yourself, find self-love and focus on that instead of trying to follow a group or what it shows. You know what? That's bullshit. I can't even figure out what to say, because I've never really been following a group or nothing like that. I've always been my own self. I guess the only thing I would tell my younger self, because I was always on the go, like I always doing something, always working hard, always working hard. And it's because I've been through so much, a lot of traumatic things. I did not realize that I survived it, but I never actually healed from it. And I had to grow into the person that I needed growing up. So my younger self, I just was like, I can give her a hug. Like, you're going to be good regardless, because you have this ambition, perseverance, and like, no matter what my younger self is going to plans to do, I know I'm going to be good.
So we're at the very end. And instead of a final question, talk about taking inspiration from other sources. And I'll admit I just stole this. It's like the Hot Ones where you get to say whatever you want and promote whatever you want and do whatever you want in the final minutes of the show, but you didn't have to eat, insanely hot wings and suffer through eating insanely hot wings to get there. You don't have to do any of that. That's the beauty of the show. We just end it like that. So with that being said, any final words, thoughts, things you want to promote, things you want to have a hot take on? It's an open mic at this point. Floor is yours. However you want to ride out. Now's the time to do it.
Ooh, that's tough.
If you listened all the way to these last minutes of this podcast, I truly appreciate you. Please continue another time or another day on your way to work, or as you're in the gym, or if you're even like on a bus or something, listen to another video. Listen to another another podcast, because I can tell you right now that this guy right here,
thanks.
this guy right here, this has been one of the most amazing podcast experience. He truly did research and had everything ready, has such awesome tools, tech, and it's just like, I have applaud for you, like give you your flowers, because
thanks.
because you are really doing it, and I just want to continue to promote you. Like I think you're really awesome. This is my first time meeting you, and not only that, when it comes to what you do, your talent, but also you as a person. You're very animated, you know a lot, and I feel like you can have a conversation with anybody, and I really enjoy that. It's really nice meeting you.
Thank you very much.
How can I top that? Ooh.
She set you up, man.
Compliment him on his hair.
Nah, but we're definitely grateful, and
very grateful.
So we thank you for taking that time to coming in here and reaching out to us. And of course, we had a previous chat. I think several times we crossed paths.
I mean, like the design of the store and everything works. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I want to go in.
Right.
So it worked. It works, people. So Evan, you did your job. It worked. It worked.
It happened.
The face behind the face worked.
Exactly. But I mean, honestly, like we're just gonna keep growing and doing our thing, and just figuring things out here and there, creating more chapters, new products, and we're gonna really innovate the brand and better ourselves as business people, and as business partners, and you can expect a lot more from us and from this podcast. I'm speaking from now and in the future. So,
well, now I have to keep doing it.
I'll put the pressure on him right now. I'm applying pressure. But I mean, that's it. So honestly, just be on the lookout for like any events that we're doing, and just stay in the loop between both platforms, because I'm expecting a lot of great things.
Well, with that, Evan, Lexus, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing the story, the tactics. That's what we do. We share the story and the tactics. Both sides of the tape, the side A and side B, both are equally important. So with that being said, thank you so much for coming on. And to everybody listening out there, whether this is your first episode, your 10th episode, or you've been rocking with every episode, thank you for listening, and keep on creating.
And that's it for this episode of the Creative Capital Show. Thank you for listening, and a special thanks goes to this episode's guests, Lexus Fernandez and Evan Delpeche. The Creative Capital Show is hosted, recorded, edited, mixed, and produced by me, Jason Sylvia. You can listen to the Creative Capital Show over at our website, creativecapitalshow.com. We're also available on Anchor FM, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all other major podcast hosting platforms. If you like the show, please subscribe. Helps the show out a lot. And be sure to follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the show, and until next time, keep on creating.